Okay, thank you. We're also recording to the cloud now.
Everybody here, ready to start? Let me know when you're ready, Molly.
I'm ready for you. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. This is a continuation of a December 16th, 2020 meeting. It is December 21st, and I'd like to say that with the town council meet via telecommunication pursuant to State of Rhode Island Executive Order 20-46 dated June 12th, 2020. Should you like to raise your hand on your phone, you can press 9 and to mute, and to unmute yourselves, you can press *6, *9 and *6. I'd like to remind everybody to please keep yourself muted until you're either called on to speak. So with that, I'll begin the meeting. It's a continuation. I do have some notes here about where we left off, and we got through. We were on town council compensation resolution. There was general discussion, but it wasn't wrapped up. So I don't have anything.
Hey, Andre.
Yes.
I just got a text that Mark Emanuel is still on the school committee call.
Okay, we'll have to round him up. All right. We want to take a.
Andre, I can try and give him a call right now.
All
Is he
right.
intentionally there or is he just stuck?
No,
I
that's a
I
good
asked that as
question.
somebody who almost got stuck.
we had a choice.
Yeah.
All right. So
Trying to apply.
with that, to let the public know, we're trying to track down. We had a joint meeting with the school committee at 7, and apparently one of our counselors is still in that corral. So give us a few minutes here to try to track him down.
He's coming. Molly, are you on?
I'm on. I'll look for him.
Or oh no, he's trying, but he's looking for the link. I mentioned if you could, or I can.
I'll email it to him again.
Thank you. He was.
Just tell him
He
it's at the top.
appreciated our call.
It's it's the
Send
top.
it to his Glory Hill email address, Molly, because I think he has an easier time with his Gmail account.
I sure
I sent
will.
him the school committee one. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
I think it's pretty important. Andre?
Yeah.
At some point, and I know we're in the meeting, but at some point, it'd be good to go over what is being forwarded to the lawyers just for review. I'll then going to the public. We can do it at the end or do it now, just so everybody realizes that there are some major things moving forward, as well as some things that may not be moving forward.
Right. Okay. So the notes I have from last meeting, the town council resolution terms, we decided not, we didn't vote. We decided not to move forward on that. Department of Administration and Human Services, new section 805. We discussed not moving forward on that item. And this is, I believe, this is in the order that's on the agenda. I could be wrong though. The Department of Public Works amends 801, was voted to move forward with legal review after a little bit of wording cleanup with Keith and Martha about GIS, land use, Department of Public Works, water, and sewer.
Mm-hmm.
The Department of Community Development Resolution, the new section 804. Reorganization was also seen as being within the current scope of the town manager's powers and responsibilities. I'm not really sure where we were with that. I believe we did we decide to move that one forward?
We did not.
We
I
did
bel-
not.
I think that was where we were
All right. And then we were working on the
not moving forward.
okay. And then we were working on town council compensation. And that's when we ended. I believe the last comments were impacts on the budget and whatnot. Unknowns on the budget. Chris, I see
That
your
helped.
hand.
I thought we, good, thank you.
Do you have anything different than that?
I wasn't sure about the staggered terms, so you clarified that.
Okay. Chris Willie, I see you're still labeled as Chris Willie Town Council. That's how I know you're up top. I see your hand up. We're just waiting for Mark Emanuel.
It's not my fault.
I know.
It's one of the many benefits for a lifetime.
Had a question on the rules of procedure. Like each of these gets voted on, correct?
Wait for Mark.
Okay.
And Andre, I did work with Marianne on the DPW language and on the town council compensation piece based on something that Bill McComb commented on as we were exiting the building at our last meeting.
Literally exiting the building.
I know. Good thing you followed Marianne. Good thing you followed Marianne home.
Well, it's good that you should have seen the look on all your faces when I was like, it's getting pretty bad out there and we have to drive. You're like, what?
Well, we're all comfy and cozy.
Three of us in town hall already. Yeah.
Although I like walking up High Street that night would not have been fun.
No.
Probably would have been fun to watch.
Any luck finding him?
Hi, folks. Mark's just getting coached through a technical difficulty. He should be with us soon.
Sven, have you had good turnout at the shop during these days?
Yeah, good turnout online. It's
Oh,
tough.
that's good.
Yeah, no, it's tough. I don't think, I think everybody is being cautious, and which is great. And I think everybody is being very conservative on getting out and too many people and all that. So I think
Mhm.
that then means there are less people, et cetera. And it feels to me, and maybe it's just my observation, but it feels to me that folks are, the big Christmases aren't as big, so everybody's being a little bit, oh, well, maybe one present per person or two, versus to sort of buy these extra things. But no, it's been good. Surprising year, actually.
We're definitely making that transition in our family,
Yeah, we are. Coal, rock, sand.
Exactly. That's what I'm expecting.
Window in the light of the Historical Society. Light in the window of the Historical Society. A non-stuffed present.
A brick.
A brick for a park, I trust you mean.
There's Mark.
How's that?
There he is.
I still don't see the green light on though,
Oh, you have one. Don't worry.
for camera. Okay. All right, I'm going off the phone.
We have you, Mark.
Yes. Okay, no light goes on, but I'm okay without a camera. I'll just go by voice. Sure. All right. Thank you. When I told you I needed training wheels, I wasn't kidding.
That's all right. We're all done talking about you now. We can carry on. So Mark, I basically, I apologize if I realized you weren't here. We went over just what we did the other meeting. Do you want me to go over that? Do you remember where we were at?
I pretty much remember. Let's proceed.
And then I believe that's it. And then Chris Willie was going to have a comment, and I had him hold off till you were here, and his hand is still up. So
Thank you.
Chris Willie, you have the floor.
Thank you. I just wanted clarification on rules of procedure. You've already discussed some of these things, but aren't each of these things supposed to be voted on? And that's, as far as, if I remember right, the rules of procedure that were presented on how this all works, each item that moves forward or doesn't need, each of these items needs a vote of the council, correct?
What we discussed at the last meeting was that we were going to go through the ones that we thought we were going to move forward, and then vote on the ones that we were going to move forward as a whole. We were going to vote to send them to our council for review. So we were going to vote on the ones, take an official vote on the ones that we are going to move forward. So we're basically weeding out the ones.
Yeah, but, okay, I mean, that's not what the rules of procedure say, though. It says each of these get voted on.
Kathy Marola?
No, I think that's happening though.
Yes, it's my understanding that that's what they were doing, and then at the end, they were going to take the group that they were moving forward and vote to move that forward. I also kind of assumed there was also going to be a vote not to move forward on the other group. It just
That's
it
kind of
would
what I'm
be
getting at.
Yeah, it would
You
be.
have
It
to
will
vote
be
either
yes,
way.
correct. It would be cleaner to do it that way.
We did vote on some and some we haven't quite wrapped up.
Right.
And
we
just so I could give you my perspective, just for this reason alone, is having sat on the last charter review committee, I think there's value in listening and hearing everybody's opinion on, as well as their vote and who's voting for what. Because when this comes up in 10 years, again, it would be nice to go back and look at the minutes and look at the discussion and look at the votes and who was sitting on the council and the charter review. I don't have that. I unfortunately don't have those minutes from back in 2008 and 2009. They're not available online. They're in the archives somewhere. I think that information would have been valuable for this town council, because there's a lot of crossover in what was presented last time and what is presented this time. There's actually a whole lot of crossover. And to hear the discussion that happened 12 years ago, 11 years ago, and taking that group into perspective now, I think would actually sway some of these opinions, because there are two different groups. One from 12 years ago is very different than the one this time. But when you look at the number of things that are the same that are being proposed and that aren't being considered, it's kind of disconcerting. Meaning you have a cross section of the population that are saying you ought to consider these, putting them to the voters, and you're not going to. It would just be helpful for the next group to look at who voted for what and why they voted for that, so they can focus their efforts a little more, I guess, a little more clearly.
Thanks, Chris. So I think the record will reflect who voted for what, which council voted for what, either way. I shouldn't say that we didn't vote on these. We didn't make, but we did vote to move some forward and voted not to move some forward. Does that clarify anything for you? I mean, the record will reflect who voted for what.
Well, I'm just looking at, I don't want to belabor the point. I'm just looking at your rules of procedure, and it says that each item will be voted on. If it means you'd have to go back and just take a vote, I mean, I thought it had to be voted on in order to be eliminated or to be approved, not just passed over as, because there was consensus. That's essentially a vote, so just take the vote. I mean, that's, again, I'm just reading the rules of procedure, that's all.
Right, and
On which ones didn't we do that? I remember talking about terms. We took our vote. And that's a matter of record.
And DPW, the same thing. We took a vote.
Yeah.
Point of order, point of information.
go ahead, Molly.
You voted on term limits. And that you voted to not go forward with that. You voted on Administration and Human Services Resolution, and you voted not to go forward with that. You voted to go forward with 801 Department of Public Works Resolution, but you voted to go forward with it for legal review after a review by counselors Ball and Stover. I don't have a vote recorded for 804 Department of Community Development Resolution. There was there was a consensus that the reorganization was seen as being within the scope of the town manager's current powers and responsibilities. So if you want to take a vote on that one, you'll be up to the town council compensation, and that's where you were, what you were discussing.
We also had a lot of unanswered questions.
You did.
And aren't these all being recorded? And what is the life of a recording? Do we know?
The life of the recording,
Yeah.
I think these recordings are permanent.
Okay, so that goes back, because I know there is it's always been a question about the nature of minutes of any kind of conversation of the council and what is necessary and what is narrative, and where you get into the difficulty of a narrative. It's not a transcript, and narrative sometimes becomes very subjective. But if it is recorded and it's recorded available for perpetuity, I think that's kind of a moot point.
That's true.
So Molly, absent at 8:04, you not only have a consensus, but you have individual votes, correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. So what does the council want to move from here? Do you want to go back to 8:04? Or town council?
What happened with 8:01? I don't know anything about what happened, if anything was changed, or what was changed.
We voted to, hold on.
No, I know we voted. I just don't. Keith said there were things had been changed, and I don't know what's been changed.
At our last meeting, we voted to move forward with legal review after some wording was taken care of with Keith and Martha.
I think it was Keith and Mary Ann.
Mary Ann.
Regarding GIS.
Yes, and Marion and I spoke at length on Friday.
Okay.
I worked on different language and forwarded it to her because I couldn't remember exactly what we had. There were a couple of things I had forgotten. Mary Ann worked on it Sunday and today, I think. So we have a modified version that I think comports with the council's desire to have a department, and I don't want to speak for Mary Ann and Mary Ann's desire to have a head of public works, but there were some things included in the duties of the director of public works as we had drafted it. For example, harbors and a couple of others that Mary Ann felt might well be better off elsewhere. And frankly, I mean, a town manager could certainly, if she decided, at some point that it made more sense to put X under the responsibilities of the Department of Public Works. I don't think the list that we would put together would be exhaustive, but anyway, I was satisfied with that language. I don't want to speak for you, Mary Ann.
May I just
Okay,
ask?
that was not my question. My question was, if language has been changed, are we seeing it? Because I'm not simply going on somebody else saying, this is what you said.
Thank you, Martha. And that's what I was just going to ask. Thank you, Martha. That's what I was just going to ask, if that new language was in tonight's. Do we have that new language? Mary Ann,
No, so can I jump in here? As I understood it,
please.
in concept, you folks agreed that to move forward with the DPW, we talked for a while about different positions that I thought should not be in with DPW. So it's my understanding you asked Mark, Martha and I to take a look at that. And then once we finalized it, bring it to Kathy, where Kathy will look at the language one more time. Then we'll present it back to you folks for final vote for the ballot.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you so much, because I knew we kind of dispensed of that and we were on to compensation. But that clarifies a lot of things. So we did, okay, so in a nutshell, we advanced 804 with the town manager's input. And the question Martha has is, are we going to see this final, I guess, before it goes to Kathy?
No, I'm on 801.
I'm sorry, 801. I'm sorry, I meant 801.
I just, well.
Okay, so
if I can,
the
I
whole
just will
issue
say
that,
it after it goes to Kathy.
yes, and my other thing was the whole issue of the enabling legislation for the sewer, which I just seems to have been, oh, we don't know what it is, therefore we can't. I don't understand. That baffles me, and I don't think you can just write it off because you can't find it in the books.
We took it out because frankly, I couldn't make heads or tails of what we were arguing about there still. So if you want to keep it in, let's keep it in.
We have legislation from the General Assembly that establishes it, and I can't understand how your lawyer didn't flag it. If you have enabling legislation, you just don't strike it by, you just don't knock it.
We didn't strike
You
it.
don't
What that
eliminate
language, what that language in the charter does is enable the town council to go to the legislature to ask the legislature to repeal it. It doesn't repeal it. We don't have the authority to do that.
But you remove that provision.
That's part of the reason we weren't sure why we need it. The town council has the authority, notwithstanding the charter, to go ask the legislature to do pretty much anything. But again, as I said last meeting, we and anybody who was on the charter committee, please, chime in. But it was unclear to us what that meant, given that the town council has the authority to ask for its repeal anyway. So we eliminated it, but it's not like this was a hill anybody wanted to die on. If it's problematic, that's fine. Let's not remove it from the charter.
Well, okay. So Marianne, you will be coming to us. Marianne, I see your hand up. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
but I think we should do specifically because I also brought up concerned about the enabling legislation, and I can understand the Charter Commission's confusion, but we also have an ordinance doing the exact same thing. So this particular item, what I would suggest that we have our town solicitor look specifically at this in light of what's in the charter, what's in the ordinance, and then provide clarification to the council and/or change the language that's maybe even currently in the charter or what we're being proposed. Since this is enabling legislation, we cannot, the only way we can eliminate the sewer commission is via the General Assembly. So I would really punt this one to Kathy and have her tweak it because she's in on this meeting. So I think she's heard everyone's concerns and questions, which were valid, and I agree with them.
Okay, so that's
Great,
good.
thank you.
Yeah, so the note is we voted to move forward on it with legal review. Is that about where we're at?
Yes, and Andre, if I can, before we get into the compensation thing, which I know there's been a lot of discussion on, we may want to just 804 put a vote if everybody's ready to do that. I think we discussed it at length, and in my opinion, I thought we came to a conclusion, but to Chris's point, I don't think we may not have actually voted. I just don't remember. So since Molly says we don't have a vote, I think might as well get that over with.
Well, I think the note is that we voted. to
Okay,
move forward.
I didn't hear that.
Unless the town clerk can clarify that.
I didn't have a vote on 804. I had a consensus that you saw the reorganization as being within the town manager's scope
Right,
currently without a charter change.
I know, and just like me earlier, we're talking about 801 right now.
No, I mentioned 804, sorry. Well, 801's done. I'm now bringing up 804.
Oh, I thought you were talking about 801. Perfect. Okay.
Sorry.
We did not vote on that.
You're correct.
But we said it was, we kind of felt it was already being within the current scope of the town manager.
So let's vote on it. To Chris's point, let's vote on it, and if it votes down or up, that's to be determined.
All right, so what does the council want to do with it? Do you want to move it forward or not? Sven?
No,
I don't think, I didn't want to move that one forward either. Mark?
No,
Martha? We're on 804.
Sorry, I was muted. No.
Okay, thank you. And Keith?
I was a yes.
Okay.
thank you. Now we're caught up technically. Good point,
All right.
Chris.
Compensation resolution?
Andre, excuse me, did we do the residency on the manager?
Not yet.
Not yet. No, that is the last one.
Oh, okay, I thought we talked about it last time.
No.
Sorry.
All right, so town council compensation resolution. Mary Ann, do you have your hand up?
Yeah, can I just jump in really quickly? I know you folks spent a lot of time on 801, 803, and 804. And what I just want to say, 803 that was proposed by the Charter Commission, I know they worked very hard on it and they worked a lot of long months on this, with this proposal. What they propose is something that is on my radar screen, and it was within not too long even after meeting them, and I had the opportunity to work through and look through some of the hierarchy and what we have at the town. So I want to be sure to let folks know that it is on my radar. It's not something that I don't see myself getting to in the next year, but I think 2 to 3 years down the road, I might be coming back to the council with something that may be somewhat similar to what the Charter Commission proposed. And I also, during that time frame over the next couple of years, I may reach out, if it's okay, obviously Keith's the chair, and other charter members, that I reach out to and discuss it with you and pick your brain as your logic and your thought process with these two items. But I just want to get that out there, that it is on my radar.
Mary Ann, thank you. And for the public's clarification, 803 was which one?
It's 805. It was how we got through.
Or was it 805, Administration, Human Services?
Yes.
804 was the Department of Community Development, and 803 was Human Services. That's what I think it is. That's what I have.
I believe that's 805.
Oh, sorry, 805.
Exactly.
We'll get these numbers straight.
I was never good in math. All right,
Um,
compensation resolution. Anybody want to open up with that?
This, as we started to discuss earlier in the week, this is the provision that we came up with to enable members of the town council, their compensation would include coverage by the town's health insurance in a manner consistent with coverage offered to full-time employees. A couple of people raised the idea of.
Welcome to Verizon Wireless.
A couple of
The
people
wireless
raised the idea.
customer you called is not available at this time. Please try your call again later. Announcement 1.
You're on, Keith.
Did you lose your train of
Yeah, sorry.
You were-
A couple. I know. Sorry. A couple of
reading.
people raised the idea of having a stipend in lieu of that coverage, or if one were to elect not to receive the benefit, sort of stipend that would match the amount that the coverage costs. I'll be honest, that I really worry about that for a couple of reasons. One is I think that whatever the town council gets, I don't think should be a better deal than what existing employees are getting, or a different deal. And I just really worry about changes to cash compensation, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. This thing is all about trying to get new people, particularly younger people an incentive to try to be on the council. It seems to make a lot of sense to me from that perspective alone. So that's why we made it pretty simple and straightforward. That's all I have right now. Happy to answer any questions, or if anybody else wants to say anything about it.
Councilors have any other input? Go ahead, Sven.
I happen to, well, first of all, I do want to reiterate what Marianne said. I really want to applaud the committee. I mean, huge amount of work. Chris has said it many times in the history, and Molly, hey, we did all this work and nobody took the time. I think we're having a huge amount of discussion on this, and I really appreciate everybody's work. On this one, I really like the idea of incentive. I really like the idea of getting the goal of getting people that maybe need health insurance or others that maybe need some incentive given the amount of time. I am comfortable sort of forwarding it as it is. I understand that may mean that, I'll pick Andre and myself, I may need the health insurance. Andre may not. He may not do it. I may. If we're going to get into that tit-tat dollar battle, that's sort of another issue. I thought it was a really good point, but it does. I don't think it's necessarily personally right that just because I don't take the insurance, I should get $17,000 in cash or whatever the real number is, because suddenly that means that maybe nobody will take the insurance because they need the cash, and then they'll, go to the clinic or whatever. And I don't think that's the point. This is trying to use not dollars as an incentive, but rather benefits. So I'm in favor of this one, although I surely hear the issue of potential inequity. And I've talked to many people about it, and I hear it, but I don't know how to fix that one. And the baby in the bathwater comment, I think, is very appropriate. I want to try and get incentives going. So I'm in favor of this because I like the idea of incentives.
Mark?
And let me just remind you what Doug reminded of us, or to us the other night, that it was somewhat of a financial nightmare for the finance department when they had to budget full family benefits for each potential new member of the town council, when they didn't know exactly who was going to use them. So a lot of that involves the finance department and what they're comfortable with. Did the committee on the charter review discuss maybe increasing the wages for the town council members in lieu of benefits?
Mark, we can do that. Just so you know, Mark, we can do that anytime. We just can't benefit from that. We as a council can do that anytime. We just can't benefit from that while we're in office, or we have to take that vote. I believe it's 6 months before.
I understand that, Andre, but for the next loop, was the consideration to a monetary incentive and not, in this case, health coverage?
We did talk about that. Honestly, we were, just to be really frank about the pragmatic aspect of this, we were concerned about getting additional cash compensation on the ballot and whether people would be turned off by it. We felt like this was a tangible thing where we could make the case that this could provide a significant incentive, particularly for young people, to join the council. But we did think about that, Mark. And honestly, not so much for myself, but for future, I would be willing to entertain and vote for some reasonable change in the compensation. You think about, Andre's just, I can tell already how much time we're going to spend, but when you think about the amount of time that the first warden has to spend, I think it all is worthy of review.
Thanks, Keith. Chris? Martha, go ahead.
Oh, man, I already forgot it. Is this something that is in charters of other municipalities, or is it in budgets? Because when it was done before, as both Mark and Doug have referenced, it was in the budget. It was a budgetary issue, not a. I guess we didn't even have a charter at that point, but I mean a home rule charter. Was that information that was gathered by the commission, by the review commission?
I know that. I'm sorry to interrupt, Martha. I know that many towns have it. I'm not sure whether they have it in their charters.
Well, that's the whole point. That's the point of my question. Is it in the charter or is it addressed? Because I feel like there's an awful lot of stuff that we've been given that is not. I don't feel appropriate in the charter. The details of things, and this may be one of them.
Thank you, Martha. Anybody else on the council before I go to public? Marianne, good?
I don't have anything in this regard.
Okay, Chris Willie?
Wanted to point out that the last time this was done, this is one of the things that came up to incentivize getting more people interested in running for town council. That, as well as other things like term limits and staggered terms, it was all one collective discussion. So this came up 11 years ago with a very different group. Norris was part of that group. Edie Blaine, Herman Hassinger, Sue Torrey. And when I see this group put the same thing forward, I think it's telling, looking at the difference between the two, that this something really should be considered. The council has the ability to modify, as I understand it in the rules of procedure, to modify, eliminate, or agree with any of these provisions. And I certainly see the complexity in, although I don't agree with Momo and Doug and problematic with the finance department, finances 30 years ago are a lot different than they are now, and $100,000 swing in this budget, because I mean, we had a 17% surplus that we were fortunate to have to get us through this pandemic. I think $100,000 can be budgeted and set aside every 4 years or 2 years as a, cushion. I don't think that's the problem. I think the concern is what Keith said earlier about equity and not having anything higher or better than any of the contractual and non-contractual employees in the town. You can reach kind of a middle of the road type of thing where, I don't know, I think the compensation, I'm not quite sure. I think, Andre, correct me if I'm wrong, it's 5,000 for counselors at large, 10 for first warden, 7 for second warden.
It's 7,500. It's 5,000 for counselors at large, 7,500 for the second warden, 10,000 for the first warden. 10,000 for the first warden. But I will add that the first and second warden are eligible to do weddings if they choose. So that actually is, that is more compensation because of your title. And the first warden and the second warden, do also get paid to do warden's court, and that is an income that is part of that should be considered as part of the compensation package too, but it's an unknown. It's, it basically relies on how many people get arrested. So,
and that all adds to the complexity,
Now that you're not on the council anymore, I assume my pay will go up a little bit.
It will. Probably, but you can reach kind of a hybrid if you wanted to, because I think, again, 11 years ago, the discussion of benefits, after looking at what other towns do, was attractive to people that might entertain running, but let's just face it, volunteerism is dying. If it's not, it's unfortunate. And back when Doug was able to, have a young family, run for town council and still run a business, that's hard to do now. Listen, I just sat on the council for 4 years. I got $5,000 a year. I think I lost more than that, quite frankly, with the amount of work that's associated with it. You really, we've talked about at the council level, the council that I sat on for 4 years, of trying to get our younger demographic involved. And Andre, I think you wrote a very good, I can't remember if it was a letter to the editor or something that kind of made a call to service, trying to appeal to that younger demographic. Back, I don't know how long ago, but the youngest councilman I remember, I think, is Ned Conley. And that was like 20 years ago. I think there's value in the conversation. I think there's value in the compensation. And I don't want to see the town council get hung up on benefits or salary, because everybody right now gets a stipend, and you can certainly consider let's just say single benefits eligibility, and then you still are able to buy into family. And if you don't want the single benefits, you still get your stipend, or you can do both. I just don't want to see this get thrown out because of a complexity. I don't think it's a budgetary issue necessarily, but I think it does have value. I mean, I think there's value in trying to. I mean, listen, when we put this charter review committee together, I advocated, as did others, for the Lisa Robs, the Kelsey Reds, and the Rob Fosters, because they represented a demographic that doesn't get represented in boards and committees that often. And this is what they came up with as well. And Kim Gaffett, sat on it as, she sat on the town council. So she has a historical perspective as well as some institutional knowledge. And then, you had the new guy, Keith. So I think this is everything that's been proposed has value. And this above everything else, as far as getting younger people and the younger demographic involved. Listen, I'm 50 and I'm not young. I would love to see somebody in their 30s and 40s on the council. I really would. But I don't, and everybody I talk to about it, I talk to a lot of people in that age group, have dinner with a lot of people in that age group, socialize. They can't afford it because it takes a lot of work. This might sway that. It's worth a shot, because this has got to go to the voters. And if it gets voted down, it gets voted down. But some hybrid system or some hybrid proposal might work. Or just, as Momo said, raise the stipend. If you're going to raise it, I think it should be raised to something where whatever the single benefit package is valued at. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe that's the number. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. And I think this, I mean, obviously you've just heard the council speak, and three have already said that they want to move forward with it. And I think, and arguably the poorest ones haven't voted yet. So it is a compensation packet. I agree with it. Well, there you go. I agree with it before to send to the voters because of that. But I don't think we should be. It's a good incentive to get people to run for office and I think this would work. But I also would kind of like to stress too that it can't be the only reason people run for office. I'm personally only here because I did a lot of time yapping about town government back in the day. You and I both did it, and I think people can't even think of the money when they run for office. They just think they've got a lot to say. Basically, you and I both came to this council because we were willing to put our money where our mouths were, so to speak, in a nutshell. But you're here because you think you have something to offer, and the voters put you here because they think you do too. But it's that decision that needs to be made. And I would certainly discourage anybody from running for office because of the money, but This is an incentive. I agree that it is an incentive. Sven,
Andre?
Martha, hang on. Sven's got his hand up here.
Just very briefly,
Hold
on. The way this is written, it doesn't preclude the council later from increasing the compensation or trying to balance things out if it doesn't work. Chris said it, and I think we've all said it. I'm very much in favor of pushing this through and testing it and trying to get some incentive to get younger people involved.
And as a budgetary impact, hang on, Martha, 1 second. As a budgetary impact, the voters could turn it down, but we could then come back and put this in place. So if we wanted to, so go ahead, Martha.
Well, again, I really wish we had better answers to, is it in other people's charters or not? That's very disappointing. I just wanted to also offer, since you all seem to allege you're interested in institutional medicine, the first warden was put up to $10,000 when Ed McGovern was first warden. That's how far back it goes. And the second warden was moved from 5 to 750, and the counselors from 3 to 5 when I was first warden, which is about 20 years ago. That gives you an idea of how long those things have been in place. And when we shifted from way back from the council getting health insurance, the salaries at that time went up, and health insurance was so much less expensive than it is today. The differential was all of what was the increase in the salary was almost equal to what they had been paid for health insurance.
So when we get this final, is it possible to get that information from Martha when we get this final, these final resolutions to vote on in January?
Let's not make it contingent.
No, it's not contingent, but I mean, it's just a point, Martha's looking for information. I
don't think I'm the only one who wants this information, and I don't know why it's so difficult to, I don't think I should have to be making all of these excuses for justifications for why I want an answer to a simple question.
And I don't either. That's why I'm asking if we could have that information provided to you. I know there's other people, but I think you're representing those people by asking for it, rightfully so. So if we could get that information, it's not contingent on anything, I would imagine, but Martha has a question.
So the information Martha's looking for is whether or not health insurance, how many other charters the actual health insurance is currently in. Is that clear? Is that what I'm?
That's right. Thank you. Not budgets, not.
In the charter. Yes. I'll see what I can do.
Thank you.
If I may, just for Martha's sake, when we did the research 12 years ago, we simply pulled up what other towns' counselors were being compensated. In the charters that I remember there, and I'm not going to, I can't remember which ones we looked at, but it did not necessarily give a dollar amount in the actual charter, but there was a compensation clause or, article in the charter, if that helps any.
No, that's exactly my question. And I don't want to belabor it because I don't want to keep getting the same answer. So if we could just move on, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, Martha, we're going to get we're going to get that information to you.
I mean, what you didn't get 12 years ago is an irrelevancy.
Thank you, Martha. How do you want to proceed on this? Do you want to vote on moving it forward or not?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so all in favor of moving the town council compensation resolution forward? All those in favor? Sven?
Aye.
Keith?
Yes.
Mark?
Aye.
Martha?
Voting against it, I'm voting against it, not because I'm against the compensation, I'm voting against it because I do not have adequate information, because absent adequate information, I'm not convinced it's appropriately in the charter.
Thank you, Martha. And let the minutes reflect that. And I vote for it. I vote for moving it forward. So the motion carries 4-1. Next, Police Advisory Commission resolution.
Yes,
Can we,
I'm sorry.
Anybody got a question?
no, go ahead, Keith. Sorry. I was ready to put a vote to it.
Oh, no.
A vote to what?
Go ahead.
Molly, go ahead. Just hang on a
I'm
second.
sorry,
Keith.
I have a question. Can you please repeat the results of that vote?
It was 4-1
4-1 for moving it forward.
for moving it forward.
Thank you.
Martha voted in the negative with an explanation, that, let the minutes reflect her explanation.
Sure, and that was because adequate information wasn't available at this time.
Because I'm not, and absent that information, I'm not convinced this is appropriately an item to be in the charter.
Thank you.
Thank you, Martha.
Thanks very much.
Is everybody clear on that moving forward? Okay, Keith, go ahead.
Sure. Police Advisory Commission. This is in the underlying charter as a may rather than a shall. We changed the may to a shall because we felt that there ought to be a Police Advisory Commission. But we viewed it as really a communication tool between the chief of police and the community, not as an oversight, hire and fire. So you'll see that the last sentence was taken out about taking complaints, reviewing complaints, making recommendations about complaints, and simply that it is a diverse group of people from the community who meet at least quarterly with the chief of police. Frankly, it was our feeling that there was a bit of while we were in the midst of working on this document, communication was between the department and the community seemed to be breaking down a bit. And we thought that this was an appropriate answer to that.
Thank you, Keith. So the updated language on that. Strikes.
So we changed.
It basically strikes out the last sentence, correct?
It changes the may to a shall, Andre. That's a really important change.
Yeah.
Because it was a may. Then it has the quarterly meetings between the chief of police and the members, 5 members. But then it removes that last sentence, which was about receiving, reviewing, and making receiving complaints, reviewing, etc. Individual citizens regarding police activities.
Thank you. So I just want to make sure that I had that correct. So I'm going to read 907 just for the public. This is a proposed amendment to the charter. If we vote on this, it would move forward to the voters. So there shall be a police advisory commission of 5 members appointed by the town council, each to serve for a term of 5 years. Said terms to be so arranged that one term expires each year. It shall be the responsibility of the commission to meet at least quarterly with the chief of police to discuss any challenges faced by the department and community related to law enforcement and communicate regularly with the town council, town manager, and the chief of police relating to matters pertaining to the police department on the commission's own initiative or upon requests made for its advice. Okay, so I did support a police advisory commission. But as you said, not as a group that's going to interfere or with the workings of the police department or undermine the authority of the town manager with regards to the police department. What I saw was exactly that. I saw a community group where that would meet with the as an exchange of ideas, like to meet with the chief of police. I saw people from senior advisory, maybe people from NAMI, definitely the town manager. you know, I just, you know, with everything going on with, you know, saying the police have to, you know, sometimes get involved with mental health issues on the island. I figured, you know, this could be all sorted out with a group of people that could talk to the police department as an exchange of ideas, not as a job sort of, you know, overseer. So that's my opinion on that. The only thing I had a question about was it says the town manager and the chief of police relating to matters of police department on the commission's own initiative. You know, chief of police relating to matters pertaining to the police department, law enforcement, and communicate regularly. So as I read this, and I could be wrong, and I may be analyzing it too much, but it basically related to law enforcement or pertaining to the police department. So to me, I don't know. I think the community should be added somewhere in there because, and I don't know if I'm just being,
Okay.
Go ahead, Sven.
In comment, or to your point, and maybe this is a question to Keith or the group, Keith, at the line where it says chief of police relating to matters pertaining to the police department, comma, I'm thinking about state police, because as you know, the town manager and the police department are bringing in and managing with the state police. That technically wouldn't be in there. Is it worth to add in, I'm asking, relating to matters pertaining to the police department and police enforcement or police activity, maybe? I'm thinking about how do you get sort of what's happening with the state police? That's really
Don't you think it's all covered? They're interfacing with the state police.
But it just says to report. If you think it's covered, that's fine. I just want to make sure it is covered.
Well, I mean, we can't instruct the state police anyway.
No, but at least how many are coming and what's going on, and then this group would feel more comfortable. I just want to make sure that it's total enforcement, and I think maybe the town manager would bring it up anyway. So.
Well, I mean, let me just be sure we're clear the town manager remains in charge of such things. I'm sorry, Andre, I missed. Were you suggesting to be a specificity to the members where they came from?
No, I wasn't suggesting it. I just saw a makeup of a broad spectrum of the community.
Oh, okay, thank you.
That would
Just wanted
include
to be sure.
senior advisory. I don't know who they would be. No, I wouldn't put that in the charter, but in my mind, I would like to see.
No. I just needed a clarification. That's all I needed. Thank you.
Okay. No, I would just like to see a community, you know.
If I can go back, Andre, and my question really was to Keith. I know Martha spoke, but Keith, do you see where I'm trying to get at?
Yeah, I mean,
Or if it's in there, that's great.
I think that could be clarifying. I think Andre hit it on the head. We just viewed this as sort of a communication tool. So
Yeah.
if it helps to kind of broaden, you know, even if it's just pertaining to law enforcement activities, you know, I'm okay with whatever you guys think polishes this language. I get it.
If the consensus feels that the state police and other law enforcement are included, then I'm fine. That's my goal, is just law enforcement or law. Yes.
You know, when we drafted this, the state police didn't have the kind of active role they did this summer. Remember? So I think there was a new reality at the end of this summer as it relates to the state police being here. So. You want to say relating to the police department and law enforcement generally on the commission's own initiative? Just throwing that out because I can't remember what you said.
Yes, or something like that, but only if it's added value.
I got a question about liquor licenses.
Go ahead, Martha.
This is just some quirky thing. I've never understood it. Is Kathy on? Kathy Marola?
Yes, I'm here.
Kathy,
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I can hear you. And I've never understood what this meant. It's general laws of the state. 3-5-15 local licensing authorities. And there's a line in here, however, where a police commission exists in a town or a city, that police commission has the right power and jurisdiction to issue those other licenses.
Yeah, let me pull it up. You're looking at 3-5 what? 15?
3-5-15.
Okay, yeah, I have to pull it up. Because I don't remember that off the top of my head.
Martha,
I did.
Martha, was that in Rhode Island general laws?
Rhode Island general laws, yeah.
Okay.
We never got it clarified before. It's always something that is just sort of hanging out there. Don't anybody read it out loud. And it may be a totally moot point. I just want to be sure.
No, Martha, you just read it out loud, and that's okay because
I know. I think at this time, it's time to get that clarified.
Yeah. Okay, 3-5-15.
I just don't know what this means. I never have.
Yeah, I have not seen, I know that the sentence is here, but I have not seen a situation, and, you know, there are many cities and towns, but I've never seen one where there was actually a police commission to issue other licenses. It's always been through the council.
Right.
Is that a good follow-up? Not for this 901.
Not for now. It's okay now, but I think we should get that. I mean, I don't expect Kathy to have all this information immediately, but if we could just check on that and see if there's anything at all. I don't open up anything, but somebody else would have figured it out by now if that read the way I think it reads. I'm not a lawyer. That's why I'm asking a lawyer.
Yes, I will take a look at that. This would be an advisory commission, not a police commission, as I understand it. So that might be
That's it, Kathy. Thank you.
Kathy, thank you, Martha. Is there a difference between calling something a commission and a committee?
Okay. No, it depends on how it's defined. You could use the word commission, you could use the word committee, but what it is depending on how it's created, what its powers are, and how it's defined.
Okay, so just for clarification on my own part, if we create a police advisory commission, it's not, we make all those rules, correct?
Yes, you define it. As I said, this isn't a police commission, it's a police advisory commission. So and it's defined, its role is defined in a limiting way in the proposed amendment to the charter. So it's my opinion that would not fall within the definition of the police commission under 3-5-15.
Thank you. And you'll get all these questions when you do the legal review on this, I would imagine.
Of course.
Thank you. Is there any more discussion on this? I'm sorry, I've been reading I've had other paperwork up in front of me. Is there any questions from the public?
Vote.
I have a comment, Andre, if no one from the public.
Go ahead, Mark.
Because I've been crusading this particular item now for quite some time. This is not what past leaders in government here consider it. For example, one of our past leaders said you only have a police commission to get rid of the police chief. That's nonsense. Another one refused to hold a police commission meeting where the town council was indeed the police commission. So he couldn't address items. I've been so passionate about this because I want to make sure that people have a voice and can take that voice to a group where they'll listen to you and hopefully get some kind of consensus and get some kind of mitigation. So they're feeling like they have a say in just what's happening. I also see this group as helping the police department, maybe taking a little work away from them. And in some other communities, they take care of the budget. Boy, what an enormous help that would be for a police chief, not to worry or as much for the budget. So I see only positive things about this, and I'm glad we're proceeding with it.
Thank you, Mark. Chris Willie?
Thanks, Andre. This is a public outreach arm, basically. That's the focus. And to Momo's point, the inconsistency in the past, when it comes to the police commission, there was this, I think I said this a few months ago, when this, the police commission isn't to oversee the police department. It's an outreach, community outreach arm for the police department and for the public. It's fairly simple. I mean, it'd be nice to bring back those things that used to be done in the past, like used to give away helmets for people that didn't have them or kids that didn't have them. And,
Ice cream, too.
Yeah, the ice cream, yes. But also, offer a body for the community to bring some concerns, and not oversight concerns, but simple things like there seems to be a lot of speeding on Old Town Road. Can you maybe address that down the line? Simple things. A little more helmet safety for the bikes or moped safety. That's going to be the big topic for the upcoming. I don't think you need a separate commission for safety. I think a police commission can certainly serve that purpose. So I think there's a lot of benefits to it.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, so excuse me. Moving forward with this to the town solicitor for review. All those in favor? Mark?
Aye.
Martha?
Aye, but I also want to make a comment I didn't have a chance to make. I think we have to remember that this is not under the structure that we had prior to having the town manager. And something like the budget hasn't been done by the police department in a very long time and shouldn't be. They have input, but these things are all handled through the manager and finance offices.
Yes, Martha, thank you for that. And I've heard it a few times here tonight, and I do want to reiterate that. And Mark, thank you for bringing that up. Was that people do have a bad taste in their mouth. Some people do about a police advisory commission because it was just when people might have been unhappy with the current status quo. But we have a new chief coming in. It'd be great to have a group to work with him from a broad spectrum of the community. For what just Chris says, it's a community outreach. So I appreciate
him or her, Andre.
Him or her, and I appreciate all the input. So Sven, go ahead.
Aye.
Keith?
Yes.
And I support this also. The motion passes to move the Police Advisory Commission resolution forward to the solicitor for review. The vote is 5-0. It's unanimous. Financial town meeting resolution.
Yes. I'm just sorry.
No,
just
take
trying
your
to
time.
find it.
No, I have them all up here. I'm switching between screens to pull them up on CrookBase myself. So,
Yeah. Geez, would you get a new computer since the last meeting?
I haven't. No, I have an Apple certified charger since the last meeting. Makes all the difference. God, the other one drained the battery.
I think Santa Claus screwed up your computer last week.
all that Christmas magic, I'll tell you.
Yeah, right, exactly. So this is Molly O'Neill still on? I hope.
Chris Willie's hand is up.
Because I know she felt particularly strongly about this one, and I wanted to give her the opportunity if she wanted to talk about basically the
I do see her here. If you want to give her a second, she's here and she's unmuted. Molly, you there? Okay, Keith, go ahead.
Okay. She was particularly strong on it being considered the duty of each member of the community to attend the financial town meeting. That's the new language in 301. And then 302 deals with what happens when there's a vacancy. This occurred, I believe, while we were in our deliberations where there was a vacancy in the moderator and the assistant town moderator, making clear that the town council appoints.
Right.
That's all this one does. Molly O'Neill just texted me and said she can't figure out how to talk. So
she's unmuted.
We have to frame that as a quote.
Okay. So councilors, any discussion on this before until Molly gets her voice?
I think
It'd
it's
be a
great.
slam dunk.
Slam dunk.
it's pretty straightforward.
Do we really want to put it's to consider the member of the community to attend the financial town meeting? It's a duty of each member of the community.
That's as I say, I support it, but Molly felt particularly strongly about that.
Yeah, Andre, I'm not trying to get 5-night financial town meetings again like we used to have, but I think it should be there.
Well, you can guess where I'm going. No, I don't. I think absolutely everyone should go to financial town meeting, as many people as could possibly get there. But it seems like honestly, I'm a bit of a purist on what is appropriate and what is reasonable and what has legs. I mean, a question always came about how you're going to enforce this. Well, you're not, clearly. And I just don't think it's I think it's a feel-good line. I don't think it's appropriate. I do think the other is fine.
Yeah, the other one's fine. I mean, we did that.
I know.
I mean, it's
I
exactly
don't think it's necessary, but if that's what, if people want it and feel it needs to be there, I don't have a problem.
Well, I just don't think we should. I don't like the wording on the. I mean, number 2 is fine. 302 is fine. 301, I agree with Martha on that. It should be considered the duty of each member of the community to attend the financial town meeting. I mean, it's like I don't know. I kind of feel like the nuns of Saint Cecilia are dictating to me what I'm supposed to be doing, and you know what you're supposed to be doing, but a lot of people just aren't going to do it, just like Catholic school. So I don't know. All right, so we'll take a vote on this. It's
Can I say something, Andre, on that?
Go ahead, Sven.
Real quickly, I don't want to bring Catholic school into it because I have no interest, but I think that these days, there's less and less engagement looking at the number of people that are voting, looking at the number of people that are engaged. I think that using words like duty and responsibility to our own governance is meeting the times. You and I both agree, I think that it's just sort of like, do we really need to say this? But given the number of people that are actually voting or participating, seems we might have to. So that's why I'm in support of, I'm fine with the word duty. I agree it's a little crazy and silly, but it's clearly not, given how many people aren't voting and how many people aren't participating.
I understand.
I'm supporting it And if you're ready to take a vote, we can do that.
I mean, I think if we want to get more people to the meetings, you know.
Don't
we-
go there.
We should
Okay,
offer
I'll
them
be
health
quiet.
insurance.
Well, no. We don't use words, we'll use beer.
Andre, I'm still,
You're all in favor of that?
I'm still in therapy from my 9 years at Catholic school.
Well, exactly. That's why. Then you probably can't even read that line. It's just blacked out for you, boy, you know. All right, so 301, 302. I mean, they're all part of the same thing, right?
You could
No, they're
separate,
separate.
you could separate them.
Can separate them if you
301,
want.
302. All right. So 301, Keith. Moving forward with it, Keith.
Yes,
Mark.
yes.
Aye.
Martha's. Sven.
Well, what did Martha say?
Well, Martha
Martha's against it.
and Sven.
I'm for it.
Okay. Yeah. It's fine, but you know what? I just.
3-2.
Yeah.
I did not
So
go-
wait a minute. So we have 3-2 because I just don't think that wording should be in there. So it's 3-2. This one's going to move forward. 301 is going to move forward. 3 votes in the affirmative to move it forward. 2 votes to not move it forward. So it passes. 302, town moderator and assistant town moderator. The electors of the town shall elect biennially at the general election a town moderator and assistant town moderator, each to serve for 2-year term until his or her successor is qualified or is elected and qualified. The town moderator, or in his or her absence, the assistant town moderator shall preside at all financial town meetings, regular or special, which shall be called. What's new to be added to this is in the event of a vacancy or absence, or both the town moderator and the assistant town moderator, the town council shall appoint a temporary moderator to fulfill the duties of the town moderator. I think that's self-explanatory, but for the public's knowledge, there was also, I do believe the other option was to have the town clerk run the meeting in the absence of a moderator. Was that correct, Molly?
Under
Molly
certain
Fitzpatrick.
circumstances, that's correct.
Okay, so
There
this
is
would
a
be,
reference in state law to allow that.
so under legal review with this, and I'm for this, I just want to make sure it's worded correctly. So this would this remove the town clerk from the equation?
The town council may appoint the town clerk as the person.
But right now,
I am not familiar enough with that statute about the town clerk running the meeting. For
Right.
me to, that's a question for the attorney.
okay, we'll forward that to the attorney for review on that. All those in favor? Sven, Martha,
Aye.
Keith,
Yes.
Mark,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. So motion carries to proceed and move this forward to the town solicitor for review by a vote of 5-0. That's financial town meeting resolution. Initiative and referendum resolution.
This is Sven's favorite section.
You're dragging him into
I
it.
guess falls under the. No, I was just teasing him because we've talked about this quite a
Oh,
bit. Let me sort of first say this is fundamentally a philosophical question. Either you like this or you don't. Kind of the sort of mechanism and the bars probably don't matter if you don't like it, and I get that. It is very much sort of a philosophical governance issue, and it really comes under the heading of when you appointed all of us, one of the things you really wanted was for us to be sort of outside the box and bold, and this certainly falls under that heading because it is we cribbed it, honestly, from Little Compton's charter. It is an initiative and referendum section. As I said, Little Compton has one in their charter. It enables citizens to petition the town council for an ordinance change. If the ordinance change doesn't occur, it establishes a process of gathering signatures on a prospective ordinance. And if the bar is met, eventually to get to a referendum on a particular issue. Again, I happen to like this. The bar is high. It's not going to be easy to get to a referendum. We pushed it. Molly was very helpful procedurally on this, I think, because you don't want to be in a position where you match a referendum of this type to another vote that's occurring, for example, at a general election or something like that. Then at one of our briefings of the council on the status of our thinking, I can't remember who raised that you shouldn't be able to petition on salary or benefits or the budget. And we thought that made sense, so we made that change as well. Again, I know there are strong feelings on both sides of this idea. A lot of states have it. A lot of towns where I grew up in Connecticut, a lot of towns have this. And have had it really, particularly in small towns that have a town meeting form of government. So that's a basic description of what it does. I know again that Sven is on the other side of this, and I this is not one where there's the wrong answer. It's the way you come to it philosophically. So that's all.
Thank you, Keith. Counselors, any comments? Sven?
Well, sure. As Keith said, I mean, this is a philosophical thing. I actually don't know that 10% of registered voters as high a bar as maybe Keith might believe. I think that people elected us. First of all, right now it's every 2 years there's an election. So I believe that you can get voted out or you can get voted in based on whether you're representing people and doing the job that they want. We saw that in this past election. And I believe that this suddenly could in theory get elections every 6 months or 8 months. I mean, it could just be the issue of the moment. And I believe that we should be held responsible for that. There is a financial town meeting. We have seen major changes to not major, but big discussions and changes to a budget at those financial town meetings. We've seen positions added at those financial town meetings. We've seen a lot of discussions and arguments. And I think that we have those platforms. That's my opinion. I'm one of 5.
Thank you, Sven. Anybody else?
Yeah, let's use something that's happened recently as an example here. When the town manager was not rehired 4 years ago or so, there was a lot of outcry by a lot of citizens. Does this mean now that outcry can be reflected into a referendum or a potential referendum item?
Not about hiring and firing, but about substantive issues of ordinances. I think that's what you were asking, Mark. I could could someone petition to, I don't know,
Let's say the
rehire
town
Mark
manager,
Emanuel?
town manager fires or does not rehire a popular head of a department, and there's outrage. Could that go to referendum?
I don't think so.
I believe you need, sorry.
No,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead, Sven.
Sven, don't worry, you don't have to raise your
I
hand.
believe you need 112 people, 112 people to sign a referendum. Once 5 people have moved it forward and tried to get into the council and tried to, there's a prescription here of how to process this,
Mhm.
but it's 112 people to sign a referendum, I believe.
No, wait, excuse me? Hello?
Go ahead, Martha.
I'm pretty sure this is limited to ordinances, is it not?
It is.
Right.
Okay.
And that would remove,
That's right.
I mean, I agree with Sven on this, but I just wanted to clarify that point, that a lot of the things that I think people immediately jump to would not even come under this. And there are also a number of ways we have currently, I mean, anybody can ask for any kind of ordinance change. I just see the potential, and probably given how people just get involved in only what they want to get involved in, which seems to be increasingly limited, unfortunately. This has got a potential of being a screaming nightmare in the clerk's office. I also and I questioned this one, but my first question about the entire package was, what is the financial impact? And I mean, obviously, anything that came in, if it met all of these thresholds, would have to undergo financial review, and the onus of that is going to be on the town. And so, somebody, if 10% of the people want something that is against every constitutional guideline, we're still going to have to pay a lawyer to tell us that.
Thank you, Martha. And that's how I kind of felt about it, because 112 people, I mean, I can see 110 form letters showing up in the clerk's office one morning.
Bingo.
Go ahead, Sven.
Just a point of clarification. There are 1,188 active voters. There are 1,435 all voters. So it could be 143 people, depending on how you split this. So I'm just making sure that accurate numbers. Sorry.
Thank you.
So it's either 112 or 140.
Yeah. Yeah. Mark, Martha, Sven. Anybody from the public would like to comment on this? No? All right. So all those in favor of moving this forward for legal review, Keith? Keith's muted. I assume he's for it.
I'm a yes.
There you go. All right, Sven,
No, unfortunately.
Mark,
Yes.
Martha,
No.
and I don't support this. I think it would undermine us and just it curtails the creativity we have as elected officials. And I think we were okay. So I just think we were elected to make these changes, and I think we're a whole new council, and we're going to work with our town manager to do that. I just think we need a chance to do that, and we've only had 3 meetings so far, and here we are. So the motion, I'm voting against it. The motion does not pass to go to the initiative referendum resolution.
Andre, could I?
Go
One other
ahead.
thing on this.
Yes.
I think on the surface, denying this may appear to be closing the door, and I see it exactly as the opposite, that anybody who wants to change anything can come at any time, but they have to come to the council. And
Right.
I'm looking to engage people, not to have everything split off into operating, unfortunately, exactly the way we're operating right now, through the internet. I mean, I think we still have a small enough community that we should be able to do that, and people should be able to present whatever they feel is a valid and just ordinance change.
And that's why
And I
I
would
felt,
encourage anyone who wishes that to do so.
And I appreciate that. And that's why I do feel as though it kind of undermines us as a council. I'd rather people come to us.
I think that's a really good point, Martha. And I you know, if I were, I don't view it that way. I think this really is kind of one of those, it's just it's a really basic issue that about how you come at these governance issues. I don't think any door has been closed. Every time I've ever wanted to speak with someone, people are open to speaking and considering ideas. So this really did fall under the heading of trying something, you know, like proposing something that's different from what we do now. That really was the primary motivation. So thank you for reading, looking at it.
No, thank you, Keith. All
Right.
right.
Andre, I just want to thank the council, the commission on this, because I think it did make me, and Keith's jokes in the beginning, he and I have talked about this a lot, and it really did make me think. And so I appreciate that, and thank you very much. Thank you.
So the motion does not pass to move forward by a vote of 3-2. Town manager resolution.
This is the one that simply says the town manager can't be the DPW director, but as Marianne pointed out, and I sent her an edit on this, there's a problem. Oh, I'm sorry. There's also a residency thing, but on the public works thing, it has to be, we have to have language in there that in case there's a vacancy in the Department of Public Works director job, there may be things that the town manager needs to do or sign or, you know, whatever. So there has to be a clause in there, you know, about, you know, except in the case of vacancy or, you know, what have you, whatever Marianne in this case is comfortable with. You saw that stuff that I sent to you, Marianne. I know we went back and forth a bit on it.
So, okay, so I'm going to go to Marianne. So we don't have the new wording on this to vote on this evening? Is that correct?
What I spoke with Keith was that not serve as department head, except when there's a vacancy or an absence or something like that. Again, if you want Kathy to come up with language, I'm sure she'll be glad to. I think conceptually, I think we all know where we are with this.
I don't know where we are with that because I mean, I'm not sure I support Keith. Maybe you can clarify.
Sure. Sure. So there are two.
What I was going to bring you up to was the first paragraph. The employment contract shall require that he or she become a qualified elector and a resident of the town within 180 days after employment. Yet again, I think, you know, we've just been through 2 town manager searches, and I'm going to pose the question to the council. Do you think that this would limit the pool of applicants? I'm not sure if I'm comfortable with that. Because obviously, if they're living in the house that's provided to them, they're going to be a resident, I would imagine.
Wasn't this some for police chiefs or there's some, there was some employment requirement that I thought the courts had thrown out.
Yes.
Andre?
Go ahead.
Yes, there is, and there's a statute, and now after the courts threw it out, 45-2-15.2 embodied the court's decision, which does not, which basically states that you can't make residency a requirement. There is a paragraph at the end of that statute that says, notwithstanding the foregoing, no city or town with a municipal charter shall be precluded from entering into employment contracts which contain residency requirements with their appointed town manager. I have a concern that this mandate as it's expressed in this proposed amendment, would not be legal.
Great. Okay, so council, where do you want to move on from there then?
Well,
I
hold
mean,
on.
I'm not comfortable with making that the town manager, making this requirement of a town manager. Maybe I'm
No,
wrong.
no.
Go ahead, Martha.
It already it already is. I think what the only change to this is it says in contract shall require it, when the existing charter says must become a qualified elector, and it sounds as if that is something that is a function of the contract and not the charter. If I'm hearing Kathy correctly, and I may not be.
You are, Martha.
Okay. So this just needs to be reworded.
Yes, we need to eliminate the requirement that the town manager be a resident and basically mirror the image of the statute with respect to the contract.
Okay, so my question is going to be how would that affect what's already in the charter?
I mean, currently,
It has to be changed. What's there?
Go ahead, Sven. I have 502 in front of me. So let me just
yeah,
pull it
so
up.
I was going to say 502 currently says, but must become a qualified elector or resident of the town within a reasonable period of time after employment. And really, this is putting the 180 days in there, and adding the word somebody had mentioned before about contract. So those are, Keith, if I got it right, those are the two big.
Yep, you're right. That's exactly right.
And so, I mean, basically what this does is it just tightens the reasonable amount of time, you give 6 months, and puts it in a contract rather than stating it. So,
But that's against the state law. But we do have the
what I was
authority.
going to say, Martha, what I was going to say is I like this idea and I like the changes, but I think we just need Kathy to make sure it doesn't blow, that it's legal.
She's not. She just told us.
That's not what she said.
Well,
right.
actually, that is what I said. Yeah, we can phrase it to mirror the state statute, but by saying it must be in the contract is just in violation of the current statute, which says you can't mandate that as a requirement.
Okay.
Now
So
that doesn't mean when you're picking a new town manager, you can't enter negotiations and say how important it is, and maybe that might be a factor in your decision, but it can't be specifically stated that way in the charter.
thank you,
I
Kathy.
think what the underlying problem is that the charter, previous to any suggested modification, needed to be changed, and the change that needed to be made was not picked up by legal counsel of the charter.
Okay, so we're gonna get some new wording on that from you. So this is so it's whether or not we vote to move this forward or not. I mean, we're not gonna move this forward, but it's gonna get changed. Okay, and 507. There's some changes I'm hearing. Who's not muted? Who's static?
Oh, I'm not.
Oh, thanks, Martha.
Andre, can I just ask a quick question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
apologize.
Go ahead, Sven. Go ahead.
So Kathy, just to make sure that I get it, a contract can require residency, the charter can't. Is that correct?
Contract.
Yes, that's based on the state law that says you can't have a rule that you have to be a resident.
In the charter.
You can't have that rule, but then there's a sentence at the end of that statute that says that a municipality can negotiate with its town manager or city administrators in their contract to include it. So it can be in the contract. It's not that you can't put it in the contract. You absolutely could negotiate that, but you just can't have a rule in the charter saying it has to be in there that way.
Got that? Sven, you good?
I got it.
and we're gonna see these changes before they're voted on.
Yeah, I'm good. We're gonna, I assume we're passing this. Do you want to vote on this?
Okay, so vote on 502 to move forward. You know, obviously it's gonna get changed, in favor of moving it forward. I'm in favor. Keith?
Yeah, yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Sven?
Sorry.
Mark, I apologize. I didn't ask you if you had any comments.
Aye,
You're all good?
yes.
Okay, and Martha? She's muted. Martha, you there? Where is she?
I'm here. I was having trouble getting back to the screen.
No, that's okay.
This is moving forward with the corrections to the existing as well as the proposed language to mirror the current state law. Is that correct?
That is correct. This is moving forward to, you know, for obviously legal review. There's going to be changes in wording to this. And what I was going to do as part of the motion at the end of all this was to make sure that all these that are going to get wording changes do come before us, you know, for review before they're voted on. So we get to see the changes. So the motion passes 5-0 in favor of passing this town manager resolution 502 off to legal review. Motion is unanimous. Unanimous. 503. Keith. I mean, sorry, 502. 507. Keith, you also indicated there was some wording changes in there.
Yes. Yes.
Working with town manager.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
I'm just I honestly, Andre, I don't have it in front of me. I got to find the sent email to Marianne, but she knows. You know, we talked about this because, as I say, if you have that hard and fast thing about not being DPW, you run the potential risk that if there's a vacancy in the department, if in the director of the Department of Public Works, that the town manager is restrained by the charter, prohibited by the charter from taking action that the DPW director might have to take.
right.
I hope I'm explaining that well. That it's basically a clause at the end of that sentence that says, except in the case of, or at the beginning, but you know, except in the case, except when there's a vacancy in the position. Am I explaining that correctly, Marianne? Please, if
No,
I'm
that's
not
okay. We
explaining
can-
it clearly.
Yes.
We're going to get changes in this with under legal review. So I'm just making notations of some of these, you know, we haven't seen any of these changes to. So before I firmly vote on it, I'd like to see the changes in wording and we can do that at our next meeting, but it'll be the changes with legal review. It'll be two things. You know what I mean? Right now we're sending the ones with no changes to legal review, but there are some wording changes that we're requesting or some are necessary. And I know Martha's asked for this, and I agree that before we vote on anything, I just want to see those wording changes. But but it's not another meeting or anything like that. It's just, we can do this when we meet before the 11th. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right. So that one's going to move forward. Are we on the
You
last
don't
one?
want me to go through it all again,
no.
Andre?
You need to
I'll tell you what, let's move that to after transparency resolution, and you can stay on and repeat anything you want. Anybody have any questions on this, Sven, Lisa? Sven, you still got your hand
I was
up?
just gonna,
Okay, go ahead, Lisa.
I was just gonna ask that we can include, if you could include the word temporary, fulfillment of that position just until, someone is hired. In other words, the town manager couldn't become permanently become the Department of Public Works. It's just a temporary position, temporary fulfillment of the vacancy.
I'm rereading it, sorry. Where would you like to add the word temporary?
Whenever they start doing the wording on it, let me just pull it up in front of me as well.
Take your time.
They're talking about that the town manager may serve as the Department of Public Works in the instance of a vacancy, but only temporarily.
Like it.
if that makes sense.
We already have that language in finance director, and at any time the office of finance director is vacant, the town manager, with the approval of the town council, may assign duties and responsibilities to other town employees or employ interim finance director. Does that cover it?
But it wouldn't cover it in the Department of Public Works because that's a new addition.
No, it's with that language, that same language.
Oh, yes.
Work.
Yes. That would be good.
Is the council fine with that? Not
Yep.
revoting, adding that, not revoting. And
Did we vote for?
we voted to move it, we voted to move it forward with the
Not
change.
I
yet.
thought we voted to move the public, I thought we voted to move the DPW ahead.
Right
I
now,
don't believe we voted on 507.
we
Yeah, we
voted on
did?
502. Yeah, we voted on 502 and 507.
502 only, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, 502 only. Let's take a vote on 507, Andre.
All those in favor of moving 507 managers and department head with the changes made for legal review, Sven?
I,
Keith? Keith?
Hi.
Okay.
Jesus.
What?
I've been in this. I'm an idiot.
That's
Sorry.
just Sven. Sven? Yeah, nay, Sven.
I already said aye.
Okay. Mark
Aye.
and Martha.
I'm sorry, I've got an issue with the lack of flexibility. You know, things can change and different people can be here and different resources and different talents. And I know I said last week I was in favor of it. I've changed my mind.
Okay.
Shouldn't preclude the hiring of a separate DPW director.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
I said not including this does not preclude the hiring of a Department of Public Works director. I simply think casting it in stone for all eternity, regardless of who's here and who isn't, may not be in the best long-term interest of the town.
Okay, appreciate it. So I'm for this because I know this is going to go to the voters. This isn't, we must keep in mind this is going to the voters too. So
Yep.
The motion passes to pass this on to legal review by a vote of 4-1. And transparency resolution.
Yes. It's very interesting when I was re-reviewing how much of this stuff we're doing now in the age of Zoom. But this was very much a central focus. In fact, I would say a primary focus of the commission to try to put the best possible and most timely information in the hands of citizens about government, the decisions we're making, et cetera. So it runs from making clear that we'll be using as many of the electronic platforms as we possibly can to let people know what's going on in town. The broadcast and recording of meetings of the council and boards and commissions, all of which is actually happening now. The way that the town meeting warnings are published. There's another provision in here around members of the town council serving on boards and committees. And it describes that any exception, I guess I would use myself as an example. I'm on zoning, but I have to resign. If the council were to decide, hey, Keith, we would like you to continue on zoning, it's for a special circumstance and granted for a specific and limited duration. Really a lot of this is about public access to documents. It has us conducting an annual review of the scope of work undertaken by each board or commission and reviewing the attendance of members serving on boards and committees. I don't want to skip over anything, but I'm assuming folks have read through most of this. It's largely pretty straightforward and is really about putting in a very broad way information in the hands of citizens about how we're conducting our business.
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you, Andre.
Any comments, council?
Yeah, on 402, does that now mean that Martha could no longer be on Historic District Commission?
It means she can, but we have to grant. Oops, sorry, Mark. Excuse me. I thought you had finished your question.
Well, I do remember
that she could.
But it'd have to be something significant for her to be allowed to stay on. Let me bring a piece of history. I remember when I was on zoning board 30 years ago, and then I got elected to town council. I was left on zoning board because we still had to hear Solviken, but I was immediately taken off after that decision was rendered. So it would have to be something somewhat extraordinary for a town council member to remain on a board or committee?
Yes, that's right. You know, there could be circumstances where someone has developed a particular expertise, or for example, there were several hearings that that you were
right.
that you were a part of. So it would be for a specific reason and for a specific period of time.
Yeah, since my name has already been brought up here, when I got on the council, I wrote a letter. I very specifically requested, and I don't remember the reasons other than a rather, how does one put this, a fair knowledge of the historic nature of the town to remain on historic district. And I'm not sure I know what the change is between what was in place then and what required that to happen and what's being suggested.
The way the language is now, it says we can't serve, but the council may make exceptions to this prohibition in individual cases as it deems best for the welfare of the town. This adds the language that says an exception that the town council might make shall be related to a special circumstance and shall be granted for a specified and limited duration.
That's 402. That's Mark's question, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Anybody
And the reason, Mark, that you and I both had to stay on zoning when we got on the council was more a zoning issue that if zoning lost its quorum, it had to go back to the beginning of the hearing. And I was stuck on zoning for, I think, a year and a half or something, because the Ocean View that never did get built continued and continued and continued and continued.
That's a great point. When I actually sent an email today to Molly and Mary Ann saying that I needed to give up my seat on zoning, but that I would stay to the extent that my leaving might, for example, affect quorum issues. It's a good point.
Okay, so to clarify for public who's got this in front of them, the only changes to this are what's underlined or in bold. Is that what?
Yes.
Yep.
So anything underlined or in bold, cross out is new. All right. So why don't we start from the top here?
Andre, well, before we, can I just ask a quick question?
Go ahead, Sven.
Keith, did you consider tiering committees? So for example, planning, zoning, some of those, I see that conflict and I've lived it, you're living it, whatever. I think about, Chris on the recreation when he was there, Martha on historic, like, are there some that are less direct or did you guys discuss that and decide it should be everything?
And I think we just made this philosophical decision that it wasn't our role to sit on any of the committees.
Thank you.
Could you do that? Sure. I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe Mark would be great on, I don't know, something like the rec committee, and we might be okay with that. I don't know, but that we just didn't get into which ones would be good and which ones would be bad.
I just want to clarify that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I jump in, please?
You can. Yep.
Okay. I just wanted to follow up on that, with the exception of planning and zoning and HCC that are Conservation Commission that are largely defined, first of all, as state and have a regulatory aspect to it. Most of the other boards and committees are advisory to the town council. And, I think we felt, and I specifically feel that you shouldn't be sitting advising to a committee that you're going to be to the town council where you're going to turn around and make the decision. And, talk about wanting to get more people involved in town government. I know and believe me, I know it's hard to get people to serve, but I think it is not helpful really to the town in the long run to have members on committees the same as the members of the town council who are then going to make decisions based on those recommendations. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim.
Andre, just real quickly, build on Kim's comment. And ethically, Kim, that 2-vote rule is a real ethics consideration. So, you can't vote twice on the one thing. So I'm with you. I just want to make sure that we weren't considering tiering stuff because I don't. Yes.
You can't vote twice on the same thing.
Well, like it was in planning, you couldn't vote when I was there. You couldn't vote on.
I'm repeating it. I'm asking you all to think about it.
Oh, sorry. Yes, you're repeating it. Thank you.
Okay. So
I'm ready to vote.
hold on. Does anybody from public have any comments? No? All right. So consideration for transparency resolution to be sent to our solicitor for legal review. All those in favor, Sven?
Wait.
What? Go ahead. Wait, Martha, you got a question?
Yeah, we had that whole page of gosh, I'll put it down now. The transparency, what should be done, and I'm asking the same question I ask about everything. Is that, are those practical things to be in the charter, or should there be some reference to? Because if something's going in for 10 years, who knows what the technology is going to be in 3?
Well,
I mean, is it broad?
My question is, to build on what Martha just said, I think what you're referring to is proposed amendments. It's 104, conduct of town business, about timely access, diverse sources, digital.
And how much of that is overlaps with existing law? And because I know there's a lot in there that overlaps what already exists, and I'm not sure if like the notification of how many times people miss meetings and that sort of thing that has been, as far as I know, been coming to the council for many years. That whole schedule of how many people have been to a meeting during the course of a year.
Do you want to continue going through this then before voting on it and discuss some of them more?
It just seems like an awful lot of detail that I'm not sure if you want to memorialize for 10 years. I understand the intent, certainly.
Right. Well, I understand that, but we're also we're putting it for legal review. We're not moving it toward the voters.
Yeah, let's fine. I'm okay with that then.
Andre, I have a question if possible.
Yeah, no, always. Go ahead.
What's the corollary of this? We have the open meetings law that has a lot of rules and requirements. These obviously are going to be additional ones. If a document is for some reason not provided, not made available, is the remedy? This is the charter. These are the Bible. It's the rules. If a document is not made available for whatever reason, or some people have it and some people don't, is that going to be a ground for someone to be able to file suit to vacate the decision of the council?
Well, that's why I brought up section 104 earlier, because my concern was, what if we miss one digital output? Someone says, well, you didn't put it there. Was kind of along with what we are saying. That's why I was kind of like, well, we can put it to legal review because we're not voting to send it to the voters yet.
Talks about reasonably available, and we certainly didn't contemplate this being some sort of cause of action. But the charter does embody our, philosophical direction, which is broadly open and access to the same documents we're working on. And I think, codifying what has been practiced has value.
And it has value if what's been practiced is of value to the public to keep going and to require it of our town officials. This document is about what our community envisions for ourselves and that we hold our elected officials accountable for. It's not your document to decide whether or not you like it or not.
And conversely, it isn't yours. Requiring public access to all materials distributed to council members. I know there's a caveat later on about it as required by law, but that line in and of itself is that's where I started writing open meeting law next to it.
Which line? I'm sorry, Martha, I didn't hear that.
Meeting law rules everything else. One of the bullet points, and this is to go in the chart, is requiring public access to all materials distributed to council members. And there are things that do come, or there may be things that come to us that are closed meeting issues. There are closed minute meetings. Those are distributed to council members. And to put that line in and then have to find the qualifier somewhere else in the document, hopefully legal review will pick all of that.
You don't have to find it elsewhere in the document. You're going by the bullet points, but if you look at the language in the proposed charter, it's in there, right alongside the disclosure.
Okay.
I see a 497-5181 with a hand up.
Yes, Andre, that's me, David Lewis.
David Lewis, welcome.
I'm glad to be here, and I didn't just arrive.
No, I know. I appreciate you being here. It's nice to hear from you. Do you have a comment?
I do. So, I was on the verge of going into panic because I thought you were going to all call for the vote on this entire resolution without adequate discussion, and lo and behold, you've just engaged in some of the more details of the adequate discussion, specifically involving 104. So I had a few comments I wanted to make about not 104 exclusively, but about the tenor of what Keith has already spoken with respect to about how the Charter Commission viewed this topic. Now, I was not on the Charter Commission. However, I'm one of the few, I was about the only person from the public that sat in the audience for close to 90% of the meetings, even the ones that were held via Zoom. And I have to say that I didn't participate a whole lot, but I had a little bit of input on general topics, especially this one. And the commission batted these topics around very, very thoroughly. And Kim summarized it very well by expressing a future vision for what the community wanted for themselves and how they wanted our government to behave and how we would best interface with it. Now, some of these things are happening now, and some of these things are things that we think, myself and the audience included, the community would benefit from going forward so that they can participate more broadly in what's going on. So a lot of the discussion in the past two meetings when all of these resolutions were being discussed had to do with giving voice to the public so that they could have a say in how the community was run. And a good portion of this resolution, and especially 104, the one in section 104, actually enables the public to be better informed and make an informed contribution to the dialogue that's taking place. Most of you know that I have been a regular attendee at all council meetings and work sessions for the past 2 years. So I want you to imagine sitting in the audience, and I'm sure some of you have, where there's a dialogue on an agenda item that's going forward, and the council is engaged, and you're trying to follow the ebb and flow of the discussion, yet you have no idea what the information is that they're viewing in their packet that allows them to engage in a dialogue amongst themselves. It's a very helpless feeling to be in that position. And I think in the past couple of years, the community has made great strides building upon the opportunity that Clerkbase has provided to allow posting of the material that's in the agenda packet and making that available to the public so that they can have that with them on their iPad, or they can print it at home before they go to the meeting, or even now in the age of COVID where we're all at home anyway. The point being is you're enabling the public to be better informed and engage in the public discussions. Martha appropriately picked up on the same bullet point that I picked up on as mischaracterizing what the intent of 104 says. And Keith is correct that 104 clearly states that the intent is not to violate the requirements of closed meetings and closed information within those meetings. So when this resolution goes forward, I would hope that that bullet point would be corrected with added phraseology that would say that references to open meetings only. So, in addition, and that's my main point that I wanted to make. However, I'm in support of just about everything that's in this resolution. Could some things be managed within the existing rules and procedures, etc.? And the answer is yes. A good deal of it is under control and could be managed from within the existing rules and procedures. The problem is that when times get tough and staffing gets reduced, or COVID, things like COVID happens, a lot of things get lost in the process, and good process suffers. And that, speaking from the audience again, while all the meetings that have been held on Zoom, there have been a lot of conversations going on amongst the council where they appear to be looking at things, and sitting at home, I couldn't see what they were. And I'm not making a complaint about that because I know how difficult it has been for everybody to be effective and carry on the business of the town. So as a member of the public, you just sort of you acknowledge how difficult it is, and you're glad you're not in their shoes, and you praise them for doing the best that could possibly be done. But the point is that right now we have and in recent years, we've had leadership in the town and staff in the town hall who have felt quite similar to the way good practice and good execution should be managed. There's no reason we can sit here and guarantee going forward that staff and council, or staff or council, are always going to speak with a common voice, and also speak with a common voice with respect to the way the community feels. So those are some of the things that are running through my mind. So I think if you're thinking about striking out some of those bullets, then you should deal with this resolution item by item as you have with some of the other ones, and discuss each one thoroughly and vote individual changes to sections up and down. Thanks for hearing me.
Thank you, David. I don't think that was the intent. I think what we were doing here is we weren't voting to, we were voting because there were some questions about that. We're voting on all of these to send to legal review, not turn them down or not put them toward the voters. Kathy, our attorney, is going to review these for consistency and legal review, and then we will be voting to put, certain ones and certain other ones not, on the ballot. So this is moving forward, as far as I can tell. So I just wanted to clarify that. I mean, if the council feels it's necessary to go through all of these sections bullet by bullet, I'm fine with that. I personally don't need to. But if you want to go do it, or what's the pleasure of the council here?
Andre?
Go ahead, Martha.
I think David clarified the confusion. I think the bullet points have, the well-intended bullet points have muddied the waters of what the resolution actually says. And I think that's unfortunate. But it's not, the bullet points aren't what we're, I guess I probably would better to not have read them at all. The only thing
I agree with your assessment of the bullet points in general.
It has, I know people try, I always say this, people try to make things easier by providing 17 pages of text when 3 paragraphs will get you through cleanly, easily, and lucidly.
So, council?
I'd love to go not point by point, but like section, starting with 104, up or down, 304. And I guess, Andre, I know you've said this a couple of times that we're really just putting it to legal review, but I'm assuming that if we're going to legal review, we're going to wordsmith this one so that it can get to the voters or to any of the things we passed, right? I mean, we're not wasting time.
I can't.
We're not wordsmithing anything.
I can't.
Okay.
Assume where the votes will be on the council next week or 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me pull that up. Transparency resolution. We've discussed 104. Are we good with 104?
With the open meetings caveat, right?
Which is
Yep,
what
in there.
is in the, I believe it's in the open. Hold on. That actually is cited, is it not?
Yep. Yes, it is.
Yes.
I'm not seeing it. Where is it?
4th line down, actually 3rd line down, except where the release or distribution of those materials would violate state or federal law by way of general publication of all such public records as defined by the Rhode Island Access to Public Records Act.
Is that the same thing as the Open Meeting Act?
Kathy, can you answer that?
No, it's not. It's two separate acts.
Thank you, that's what I thought. But we're obviously governed by Open Meeting Act regardless of what we say. Question mark.
Okay. Keith, you got that?
Yep.
Thank you. Anything else in 104?
I mean, should it reference the Open Meeting Act?
No, he made a note. I think Keith made a note to have that added, right? I assume, Keith?
Yes.
Thank you. Anything else on 104? Hearing none. 304, financial town meeting, 304, publication of financial town meeting warnings.
Let's
Do we
go
vote? Do we vote for?
Let's go
sorry.
section at a time, Andre.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. 304, right?
Do
No,
we
104.
vote on one?
Well, I thought, all right, so I thought we were going to go through these one section by section, make changes, and then vote on the whole thing. Are we voting on section by section?
That's the way we've been doing it. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so 104, conduct of town business. All those in favor of moving that forward with the changes Martha suggested? Sven?
Sorry.
Keith?
Aye.
Mark?
I'm in favor of more technology.
I thought you were going to say I. I'm sorry, you said I. I thought you meant I, and I thought you were going to say I and then continue. But I'm in favor of this. Motion passes unanimously to move forward
I didn't
to
vote.
review.
Mary,
I-
Martha did not vote.
Martha, you didn't vote?
I didn't
Okay,
vote.
Martha. Okay, Martha.
I vote as stated with the inclusion of reference to the Open Meetings Act. And I also believe that whole other page of bullet points has got to be cleaned up because it's very misleading.
Okay. So moving forward, we have a unanimous moving forward. It's unanimous to move this forward to legal review with the changes Martha has suggested, and that's it, right?
Yep.
304, publication of financial town meeting warnings. The warning, including a plain language version of the warning describing the matters to be considered at any financial town meeting, shall be published in the newspaper of record and broadly distributed across reasonable available digital platforms. A separate guide describing the rules and procedures for the meeting shall be published and distributed. Comments? Does everybody like that?
Is this sort of like what the state puts out with the bond issues that has a heading that summarizes it before you get into the text? Is that what sort of thing we're talking about?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, because I certainly don't want a a plain language that's going to be more complicated than what was already there.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Mark, good?
Yep.
Sven?
I'm good. I guess I have a question for Molly or maybe Keith, but this last sentence, a separate guide describing the rules and procedures for the meeting shall also be published. I mean, does it have to be, can that be a generic piece if it's generic or?
Yeah, I think there was concern that people don't really know how it all works, and that might intimidate people out of attending. So yeah, a generic piece about the process.
I mean,
All those in favor of moving 304 forward for legal review? Mark?
Aye.
Martha?
Aye.
Sven?
Aye.
And Keith?
Aye.
I approve. Motion carries five to nothing. Moving section 304 over to legal review. Section 402, qualifications and eligibility. Members of the town council shall be qualified electors and residents of the town of New Shoreham and shall not be eligible for appointment to a Block Island Land Trust, school committee, or the board commission of the town appointed by the town council, provided, however, the town council may make exceptions to this prohibition in individual cases as it deems best for the welfare of the town. The change would be any such exceptions should be related to a special circumstance and shall be granted for special and limited duration. No council member shall hold any other paid employment with the service of the town, nor be eligible to accept any such employment for a period of 1 year following the expiration of the term for which he or she was elected. The office of any town council member who ceases to meet the foregoing qualifications shall be deemed to have become vacant and may be declared vacant by the council if he or she has been absent from 6 consecutive regularly scheduled meetings to the council. So the change to that would be any such exception shall be related to a special circumstance and shall be granted for special and limited duration. Discussion on that? My feeling on, is that good with everybody? Okay. So, I mean, okay. My only concern is that we have, it was brought up before, and like special and limited duration. You know, Chris, like you said, Chris sat on it. Martha's on historic district. Martha's special and limited duration.
I'm on limited duration anyway.
You're on limited duration there?
That was a joke, Andre.
I was going to say, was it your own imposed limited duration? But no, seriously, like we never get anybody to sign up for historic district. It's very difficult. So if we specify a time, what would it be? Like if, and I'm going to use Martha as an example.
Well, Martha's the reason this is in here in the first place.
Well, it could. Well, no, because it wasn't just you. You know, Chris.
I didn't even know it was you, honestly.
I'm certainly the only one left. And as I said, I did put a letter in when I was on the council. It just feels like it's overkill of something that's already there. That was my only comment on it.
Well, except that if you're still serving, then it is a change to say that it's for a specified and limited duration.
It is a change.
So it's not already there. You're serving pursuant to the town council's ability to waive the requirement.
Go ahead, Sven.
In contrast to Martha and Chris just recently, when I was appointed by the town council to the town council after Norris's passing, there was a specified time, basically the election, as to how long I could be on the planning board and the town council. And we agreed on that. And so I think that was sort of a good example of it living, but it wasn't written. Whereas, you know, in this one, it would say you got to specify and document that time for all positions. And I think it would push us to get more people on different committees.
If they sign up, that's what I'm saying. Like if we have names for the committees. I'm okay. We can put that to the legal review. I mean, I'm not going to hold it up on that but I look at Martha and I think the benefit to historic district because of the historic knowledge she has with that, I wouldn't want to remove her from that and replace it with somebody new.
But in that same breath, much like David Lewis attended many town council meetings and seemed to have attended almost all the charter review committees. He wasn't on either of them, but he sure had input, and thank goodness for that. So you don't have to be on the committee necessarily to participate.
So in that context, this is David Lewis again, you know, in Martha's case, since we're using her as the example, the council, every time she was reelected, the council could choose to specify the duration and limit to the end of her term.
Good. Yep.
The point being, I think you would have to do it every time she were reelected to the council.
Thank you, David. So moving forward with section 402, all those in favor? Keith,
Aye.
Sven,
Aye.
Martha,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
and I'm also an aye. Motion to send to legal review, section 402 passes unanimously. 405, rules of procedure. The town council shall adopt rules and regulations regarding the conduct of its meetings. The rules shall include opportunity for public comment at each regular meeting of the council. The rules of procedure shall also include general publication of all public records as defined by the Rhode Island Access to Public Records Act in a timely manner prior to meetings. All materials distributed to town council members, except where publication in such documents or materials violates state law or will be used in closed session under Rhode Island state law. A quorum for council meetings shall be 3 members. In the event neither the first nor second warden is present, the other shall elect a temporary chairperson. Comments, council? No comments. Comments, public?
Yeah, I've got a comment. I
Go
think
ahead,
the most important thing wasn't done. The council shall annually adopt rules. I don't think those rules have been changed. I mean, we do have, I hope everyone knows we have rules and procedure we have since 1980. They haven't been adopted, or they've been reviewed and changed in, well, at least 6 years, at least a lot of years. I don't know how many years. I couldn't figure that out, but it's been a long time. I think some of the other is already in the conduct of town business, isn't it?
Let me go back to that.
First
That
of
was
all, to Martha's
Access
first
to-
point, excuse me, sorry about that, Martha. I apologize.
No, I just said I think the this is already in 104, I believe. A lot of the access issue language. I'm done. Thank you.
I think Martha's first point is an excellent one that we didn't think of. One of many things she's picked up, but I think the annual review makes a lot of sense, if only because it has the council focus on regularly what the rules of procedures are. I actually think that's a very good idea.
So, Martha, your suggestion is shall annually adopt rules and procedures.
That is it, or review or something, and
yeah,
and just to not have I don't like to have redundancy, because I'm afraid if it doesn't exactly mirror, we're going to have a problem, and if we already have something somewhere else, it's covered. We don't need to write it twice, because if you change one thing, if you miss one thing, if it's stated once in the general town procedures, that we're all covered by it.
Yeah, I think that's a good thought. The thing that is in this section that isn't in 104 that we felt was important is to codify the opportunity for public input, which is done as a courtesy now.
Well, it is in the rules of procedure, the existing rules of procedure.
And we think it should continue to be.
Yeah, I agree.
I got to ask, did you all know it was there?
Yes.
What about this? About public comment?
Yeah, we read the rules of procedure, Martha. I mean, we worked very hard on this.
I thought she was asking us.
Did they even know they were there? So
I have
thank
them
you.
right in front of me if you want me to read them.
Yeah.
All right. So
I'm good.
you good? All right. So we're gonna add annually adopt after shall.
Good point.
Is that good? I'm on board with that.
Yep.
Section
Yeah, me
405, moving forward, for legal review. Keith,
Yes.
Sven,
Aye.
Martha?
Well, I still wanted a clarification on having things written in two different places. And I really don't like that. If there's something that's very specific, like the public input, fine, but to just repeat something that's already a broad policy of the town under on previous section, I'm against that.
Okay, so
I would that qualification.
so I don't, so
Up or down?
you want 104, and is that up in 104, or I mean, I know what you're saying, but where is it? It's in 104, isn't it? Yes, it's in 104.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. I guess I could get it. So it's what is specific and unique is here, but the broad items that cover everything and everybody remain where they are, and covering everybody. So you don't have to, then you also get into this by omission. Does this not cover everybody else if it's not in their particular section?
Keith, is it?
I don't know. I like it the way that it is, but if someone has some suggested language, feel free.
Martha, you have
No, I didn't, because it kind of depended upon. I thought this was something where sometimes things are submitted doubly because you don't know which one's going to go and you don't want to lose it. But if it's just been submitted twice, I don't see the point in it, and I think it loses its punch.
So can we get this? Can we clean it up so things are just mentioned once?
I mean, that would be, that would be my hope, but that's just where I am.
Would it change any of the? Keith, what do you think it would change any of the?
Well, I can tell you it came from people, David Lewis, actually one of them, wanting to make sure that specifically the town council process had codified in the charter what has been done via rules of procedure and as a courtesy.
So
sometimes,
since Keith invoked my name, my thinking was very specific. Public comment isn't noted up in 104. Public comment there is reference to it in the rules of procedure. The reason I think it should be in the charter in the manner that it's been presented in 405 is that every council has the opportunity to change the rules of procedure at their leisure with no period. They can do that at their leisure, regardless of how the community might feel about it. It's a lot harder to change the charter, and the community has a bigger role in that, even though the council still has the ability to operate contrary to the public desire. However, it's a lot harder. And I think we're at the point now in 2021, in the 21st century, where we've established that public comment is an important component of our form of small town government. That was my thinking.
No, that wasn't my issue. My issue, and actually, way back, I was the one who wanted to put public comment in. I also wanted to call it Hyde Park, but I didn't think anybody would understand that. So we went with public comment. I'm not objecting to memorializing public comment by any means. My question is the rest of that, the redundancy that's in the rest of that with the preceding section.
suppose that was my question to you, Keith, was if we just put it in one spot, will it dilute either?
I mean, I don't know. I honestly, after all these hours, I just don't feel sharp enough really to compare the sections right now. I kind of like it the way that it. I don't think it does any harm. But if people are concerned about it,
Well, tell you what, I
get it.
I understand exactly what you're saying. So why don't
Yeah.
we, when Kathy reviews this, Kathy, when you review this, obviously make some suggestions like if you don't need this here, it means the same thing, or please put that before us. But right now we have a vote on 402. So Martha, you're a no right now.
405?
I'm sorry, 405. You're a no on this right now, Martha?
I'm in favor of it in principle. I just, as long as it gets reviewed carefully.
Okay, so this is going to move, section 405 is going to move to Kathy unanimously?
Yes.
Thank you. Section 408, powers and duties. I'm not going to roll through all of that unless anybody has specific questions on it.
There's very little change.
Yeah, there's very little change. There's a change in L because the underlying, the existing charter requires that we engage in an annual review of personnel policies, or adopt by ordinance and review annually in consultation with the town manager such personnel policies and provide such rules, regulations, and administrative agreements for the implementation, blah, 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 blah. So we didn't think that was happening. And I don't think it's necessary. I think if the town manager needs us to adopt by ordinance personnel policies or rules or regulations, she would come to us and ask us to do that. I don't think we need to every year have a meeting where we're annually reviewing this stuff. That's where we were coming from. If people want to do it every year, I guess have at it.
So is that actually legal that we can do that with employees and stuff? I mean, I suppose it's legal that we could personnel policies, but I just assume. I mean, Mary Ann, do you want to help with that as a town manager?
It does state policies, so I mean, that's fine. It says personnel policies.
All right.
Yeah, I mean,
And I agree with Keith. I wouldn't do it annually.
All we're doing is killing the word annual.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
And I think when this, we can't remember when this charter was first done, and there haven't been a lot of changes to the original charter. I mean, it was a change from a government that had no town manager, that had no mayor, and still doesn't. And there was some overlap. There really was, and I'm not sure all of that has been cleaned up completely, but that could be a piece of it. There were some things that I don't think the council has any. We shouldn't be reviewing policies like that annually. That's not our job.
I don't think we are.
Yeah, we didn't think so either.
Yeah.
But.
Well, we're violating the charter then, as it's written.
Let's fix it.
We're fixing it. O is conducting any review of the scope of work undertaken by each town board or commission, review the attendance of members serving on each board or commission, and develop and implement a plan for council members to meet regularly with each town board or commission. That looks like that has Sven's fingerprints written all over it. You got your first one of your hand up. All right, Sven, go ahead.
Actually, it's been up for a little bit, but
I got the chart. I got all this. I'm sorry if I'm missing you, but I do have all of this paperwork in front of me, and I'm trying to keep an eye on that. I'm seeing what's.
I'm back to I'm back to some of that philosophical discussion Keith and I had before. I think first of all, I agree with all these points, but I don't know that they should be in the charter. And I'll take any one of them. We tried for 6 to 8, 9 months to figure out calendars and schedules for counselors to meet regularly with each town board or commission. And as you remember, it was a rather painful dialogue. And now everybody, it's sort of working out. And I just don't know that we need in the charter versus in an operational structure or how we actually work. Okay, we should review what each group has done and how can we better serve them. We do the second point of attendance. Molly does. Maybe it can be more documented. So I just wonder whether these are charter comments or these are first warden manager. How do we operate? And so I guess
I need a clarification where we are. I left a paper in the other room. I was walking around. What item are we on?
Oh,
we're on section 408, powers and duties of the town council, and we're on O, which is talking about conducting a review.
Which is a change, which is an addition. I didn't read through all the rest of it.
That's an addition. Yep.
So anyway,
I'm sorry, before Martha goes, can you clarify for me, Sven? Are you saying that you'd like to go through A through O?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm saying on O, I think A, well, first of all, they're all there except for the little change to L. But
Andre's about ready to jump out the
charter. We don't need to review what's already there.
If only it were snowing.
Right.
Time to go.
On O,
I understand. All right.
Charter dialogue or an operational leadership dialogue.
And you're talking just about O.
O, only O.
Okay. Appreciate that clarification. Thank you.
Well,
Martha, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Martha, you good?
No, I'm I was just trying to find out where I was. I'm fine now.
Okay, you're on O. We're all on O. O only. Go ahead, Keith.
So the only thing I would say in answer to Sven is that if you do go through A through O, there are a lot of things like this. It's basically enumerating the duties that the town feels are important. There was concern expressed not just by members, but by others, people who serve on boards and committees, that they felt that they weren't necessarily in regular touch with the town council. So we thought this made sense, obviously, because we included it. But I think, I can understand how people would arrive at different opinions about that. To your point, Sven, I think it's a good one. I've been doing my best to dial into as many of these things as I possibly can. Andre, I know I've seen your name at a lot of them. I've seen, a lot of people's names at a lot of these boards and committees. So, I do think there's a lot of good faith effort going on, with town council members trying to engage with the boards and committees. And, to the extent that this codifies that, I think it makes sense, but, that's just where we were. It's not like, prepared to do a sword swallowing act about this, but I think we felt it was important. Kim, did Kim want to talk?
No.
No?
Do you want Kim to talk?
Yeah. No, I just saw her light up. I saw her light up, and I wasn't sure whether you saw her. So sorry. I didn't actually see. I didn't see Kim herself light up. I saw her thing light up.
Well, if you want to
Kim
talk,
is taking her voice on. Kim is turning her voice off.
any other counselors on this?
Yeah, I have one kind of broad comment, and this goes back over time. Again, the evolution of governance, and a lot of we have a bunch of boards and committees, this advisory boards. We also have the ones that are there under state statute, the ones that are mandated, ones that are that aren't really. I mean, they're certainly not under, none of them are under our purview, but some operate completely independently by law. And I also think that's something I think it's really important that it needs to be said, because I keep hearing, I know we've heard this over and over again. The council has been hearing this for as many years as I've been going to council meetings, which is a very long time. That if you have an advisory board, you ask them to look at something, and then they say, well, the council didn't take our advice, or the council didn't. And sometimes, this ultimate decision does lie with the elected body. And I'm not sure if that's always made clear that even, if you ask for input, it doesn't mean you're abdicating your responsibility to make a decision on an issue. You want the input, you hope you get input that you can use. But if it doesn't feel right, the people who are elected are the people who were elected to represent the town, and to just shrink that off and say, well, we're going to advise you. We do what they said. That's a total off the charts here regarding this. I am a little concerned only with putting more work on boards and committees, and you can get a easy sketch of a report of what they've done or how many hearings they've had, and that sort of thing. But I think the last thing we want to do is to put even more of a burden on groups.
Anybody?
Where is the review attendance? Is that in ordinances? Where is that? That's somewhere in.
Review the attendance. That's already. Yeah,
but where is that current law?
I don't know if it's a law, but the clerk does it. It was
No, but it's a law. It's in somewhere in the ordinance, but I don't know if it's in the ordinances. I don't think it's in the charter. It's that every board shall refer to anybody who misses 3 meetings is reported to the council. I don't know where that is, honestly. I can't remember.
Excuse me.
Rules of procedure of boards and committees?
Yeah, rules of procedure for boards and committees.
Is that just the rules of procedure?
For boards and committees, I believe it is.
I mean, I thought it was in that big black book. I don't remember.
I'm ready to vote.
So, Mark, any questions on this?
No, I'm very happy with the back end of it, the bottom 2/3 or whatever, reviewing the attendance. And it's invaluable, I think, to meet with the other boards and committees, at least on an annual basis, so you can, if nothing else, get their pulse and their input. The annual review, well, I can see that helping out a lot. For example, if we were to review the Deer Task Force every year, we would allow it to evolve by our input, hopefully, and redirect it, or even just go there to applaud all these wonderful people who come forth and volunteer every single year.
I do agree with this, but I also am, I just want to say this for, because my honest feeling about it is I agree with it, but it's going to require an enormous amount of time to meet with every board or commission, develop and implement a plan for council members to meet regularly with each town and board or commission. If that's on a year, if that's like meet with everybody over the course of a year, well, we've tried that.
Andre, it doesn't mean that we all have to meet with them. You could assign things and report back.
Council members. Oh, I'm sorry. I did read that wrong. Like I said, I'm not going to say no to this and not move it forward, but council members, it's not, because we did have to try to have the meetings with we did. And it just, oh my God, it was so many, it sounded like such a great idea at the time. But it became all consuming. And all right, so a vote on O, or Are we voting on O?
No,
No,
we're voting on section.
408.
408.
408. All those in favor of 408 moving forward to the solicitor? Sven, yes? Mark?
I'm in favor of the section. Yep.
Mark's and I. Martha?
I think, oh, no, it's done, I think it's done weirdly. Like,
Okay.
it's well intended.
Keith?
I'm a yes.
Okay, motion passes 4-1. Ordinances. Section 409, all ordinances of the town shall be enacted by the council in accordance with the following procedures. Again, I can read it. No, well, it basically just speaks to personal town's website. Yep, that's okay. And further public, it's about public notification shall be followed. The addition is no ordinance shall be passed by the council at the meeting or meetings at which the public hearing takes place. But the proposed ordinance shall be referred to a subsequent regular or special meeting for a vote therein and shall be reposted for not less than 3 weeks before said meeting. Keith, what does that mean?
I like this.
Question. If I recall correctly, there was a particular circumstance that had troubled one of the members and some members of the community, where a hearing was held and there was an immediate vote on, or there was the threat of an immediate vote on an ordinance. This member felt very strongly about this. If I'm being really honest with you, I am just now learning about, I'm sort of just saying for me, I'm really just learning the ordinance process. So I don't claim to have a great deal of expertise on this section, to be honest with you, Andre, but
Okay.
it's basically designed to ensure that there is not a kind of public hearing on ordinance passes, sayonara. That's basically what it's designed to do.
Go ahead, Sven.
I see this as a breathing moment. You know, this is where you had the public hearing, everybody can sit and think a little bit. And, you know, the 3 weeks is interesting, but I like the idea that it can't just be a slam bam.
I don't understand the 3-week reposting.
I don't understand. All right, so hold on. Let me read this again. No ordinance shall pass by the council at the meeting or meetings at which the public hearing takes place. But the proposed ordinance shall be referred to a subsequent regular or special meeting. So what it's saying is, so I understand.
So basically, you can't have the public meeting and then vote and, you know, close the public hearing and say, okay, we're done with the public hearing, we're voting, and you vote on it. You need to then say, we'll schedule for the next meeting, regular meeting or special meeting, and vote on it then. So it's like a brief.
But where does the reposting for 3 weeks come in?
Well, I just said, I'm sort of with you on that, Martha, but that's minor. I think.
Well,
that's-
I think that's
Hold on. Okay, so we're going to a public, all right, so we're going to a public hearing. A public hearing takes place on an issue. And then are you saying that don't put an agenda item right after that public hearing? Dealing with that
Don't
public?
have an agenda vote.
Just should wait 3 weeks after public hearing to vote on the proposed ordinance change? Guys, Keith.
I may get my head handed to me for this, but I actually think we should put a period after special meeting for a vote thereon and delete and shall be reposted for not less than 3 weeks before said meeting. Because there may be circumstances now that there may be circumstances where we need to act much more quickly than 3 weeks. But or, or maybe we reduce that or something. 3 weeks seems like it could potentially be a long time that might bog down the process. No?
But I also, Keith, why does it have to be reposted? It's been posted, it's been legally posted, it's been heard. And if you want a waiting period, have, the two things it doesn't even make any sense. You can't have, if it has to be reposted, you can't have it at a subsequent meeting 3 weeks hence. So you have to put the ordinance in, you have to legally post the ordinance, you have to have the hearing, then you have to wait 3 weeks for a decision. That's kind of, but we don't remember minutes for 3 weeks after a meeting. We're not going to remember what happened at a hearing.
That's why I was suggesting we take the 3 weeks out, but have, but
Can you read?
maybe I'm wrong about that.
Keith, can you read your change out loud?
Sure. No ordinance shall be passed by the council at the meeting or meetings at which the public hearing takes place, but the proposed ordinance shall be referred to a subsequent regular or special meeting for a vote thereon, period. And deleting "and shall be reposted for not less than 3 weeks before said meeting." So that there is a breathing period, but it's not necessarily 3 weeks long.
Mark?
May I add a comment?
Kim, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that most of the stuff was the commission pretty much agreed with as we went along and worked out our differences. This is one of the few items where there was people strongly for it and people strongly against it. It got sent to you, but it wasn't as clear as a lot of the other stuff in terms of support.
I just don't understand it. That's all. I mean, it's been explained to me 3 times in short and abbreviated, but I just don't understand why it would be necessary.
So that you don't have a hearing and then have a vote, so that people understand that there's a proposed ordinance and that, it's basically, as Sven said, a breathing period.
But what? Go ahead, Martha.
But the hearing is closed, is that correct?
I think so, yeah. I would think so, Martha.
Well, that's really important because I don't think,
Yeah.
if you continue a hearing, you continue a hearing, but this looks to me like something, if somebody doesn't want something passed, we'll have to have 3 weeks and then we can open it up again and then we can keep talking, then we'll buy ourselves another 3 weeks and then eventually people will just give up. And I mean, maybe I'm being a little paranoid, but we've had some pretty bad experience the last few years of people lobbying and misrepresenting facts and the such. And I don't want to put myself in, I don't want to put any council in a position to be held hostage to that sort of manipulation. And I don't have, I guess I hear justification for the 3 weeks.
Well,
I suggested taking it out.
Yes.
Well, I mean, but Keith, your vote now is on the council. You're representing the council now, and the people who voted for you. Now it's a charter commission, but was there can anybody give me a justification for the 3 weeks?
I think everybody wants to take it out.
I was looking for the thought process behind it.
Mark, do you have any comments on this?
Yeah, Martha brought up a good point there about the meeting being closed. Why the delay? I'm a person who listens, tries to do his homework, and makes a decision. I need the justification why we need any delay. Why can't a decision just be made? I just don't like when things linger and linger and linger. We have a full plate. I'd like to move things along at a faster pace on council, and I don't think this would allow that to happen.
Thank you, Mark. Anybody else?
It sounds like, I'm sorry, Andre, it sounds like something similar to what planning or zoning does, where they listen and they don't render a decision for X amount of weeks. You're never going to know the subject better than after all that information you get, usually that one particular night. I'm comfortable making decisions.
Thank you.
I think also, Mark, in the case of zoning in particular, they're taking time to craft a motion.
Language.
And when you have an ordinance before you, you're not necessarily crafting you have to craft a motion.
Well,
I'm
it's-
disagreeing with, I agree with Mark.
Any comment from anybody else in public? Okay, so section 409 ordinances. Hold on one second. On the town website is okay. In the
Yes.
beginning of that.
Can I jump in really
If that's-
quickly?
I'm sorry, who was that was just speaking?
Mary Ann, I think.
Mary Ann, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I understand, put on the town website, but still, do we still need, this is just minor. We're posting at town hall, we're posting on the website because folks are now going more to a digital environment. Why do we still need to post it in 2 additional places in town?
Like, because right now it's the post office and the grocery store or something. you know?
Grocery store.
Yeah, so that's hence,
No, that's state law. That's still in
that's
the
state law
Yeah.
for the 2 other places?
Mhm.
Otherwise, Mary Jane doesn't have anything to put on the bulletin board.
Hey.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I thought it was the Redbird Liquor Store, actually. Was that the?
I think it is. It is.
Is that something that's, Molly, do you know if that's peculiar to Block Island or is that everywhere?
It's state law.
State
Thank
law.
you. I guess the Redbird's peculiar to Block Island.
No, it's not.
I don't believe the Redbird has town notices posted in their window. They
No, it
should.
has, it's a place that the warrant is posted, I'm pretty sure.
Is it really?
The warrant.
You know what? It's
don't-
so late that I'm not sure if it's 2 other places or 2 places in total in the state law. So that would be picked up in legal review if it goes
Yeah,
there.
we can look at that.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so we're voting on the whole of 409. Right?
Yep.
Okay. I don't mind the town's website, but I don't like the other half. So what are we doing about that?
Split it then.
Split it then.
And I still think that you have, remember that the council has the option, if they have a hearing and if they want to take time to deliberate, if the majority of the council wants to take time to deliberate, I believe they can close the hearing and set the date for the decision at the next meeting. I don't think you're bound. Are you bound now to make a vote at that meeting?
I'm not
No.
sure.
No, you're
So
not.
the flexibility exists to do. If somebody wants to think about it. I know, Mark, you don't, but if somebody wants to have the time to think.
Or you can just continue it.
Mm-mm.
Well, no, if you continue it, you keep taking testimony, which is counterproductive to everything, I think.
Well,
Okay,
it could be
so
that
Yeah,
important
heaven
initiative.
forbid you actually listen to them.
Unless there's a really compelling reason to continue,
Correct. Yep.
which you can do.
Andre, how about if we split 409 into 2 pieces?
yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Section 409 ordinances, the amendment of on the town's website. All those in favor of that, Keith?
Yes.
Okay, and Mark
Aye.
and Martha.
I guess, we're still going to be doing this in 10 years, or we're going to have some other platform. I'll say aye, fine.
Thank you, Martha. Aye too, and aye. Motion on 409 ordinances on the town's website passes unanimously to move forward to legal review. No ordinance, a vote taken on the wording to add no ordinance shall be passed by the council at the meeting of meetings at which the public hearing takes place, but the proposed ordinance shall be referred to a subsequent regular or special meeting for a vote therein and shall be reposted for not less than 3 weeks before said meeting. All those in favor of that, Keith?
Are we editing it to 3 weeks out? Like Keith
Okay.
I, that's what I thought we were doing, but
No ordinance shall be passed by the council at the meeting or meetings at which the public hearing takes place, but the proposed ordinance shall be referred to a subsequent regular or special meeting for a vote.
Period.
thereon, or a
Period.
vote period. All those in favor of that? Keith,
Yes.
Sven,
Yes.
Mark,
No,
Martha?
No.
And I don't like that either. So,
Mhm.
that section, no ordinance shall be passed by the council at a meeting, will not move forward to the solicitor by a vote of 3-2.
There you go.
Andre, just for cleanup, would you do a motion on the removing annually from L? We missed that. This is the annual consultation and adopting by,
Okay, yep.
in
Okay.
L of personnel policies.
408. Yep, I got it. That's 408. We didn't vote on that?
We didn't. We did the one before it with the website, but we didn't do this.
Thank you.
This one. I'm
Do we
sorry.
we're taking no action. This is an addition, isn't it? I can't tell.
It removes.
Yeah, we need to do
annually.
Yeah, we have to
You do a motion, I'm sorry.
in review. So what did we decide to do with that? Leave it at, we're gonna leave annually in there? No.
You're going to
No.
leave this strikeout in there.
The word annually goes away.
Yeah, the word annually goes away and we approve that change. So all those in favor of approving L annually, adding annually, and adding the strikeout of annually under section 408 powers and duties for legal review. All those in favor, Sven?
Aye.
Martha?
Aye.
Mark?
aye.
And Keith?
Aye.
And I'm also in favor of that. So that motion passes unanimously. That vote passes unanimously. Powers and duties, Article 5, Town Manager powers and duties. Okay, we got some changes in there. 506. J.
Okay.
Preparation and submission to the town council at the conclusion of each calendar year and assessment of the impact of seasonal fluctuation in population activity on the enforcement and management of public safety, public health, downtown historic character, and traffic. Let's start with that. We'll do all these, but how does everyone feel about that?
Does it need to be in the charter?
I think if you ask people about sort of the impact of a lot of the seasonal fluctuations, they would say yes.
If you asked how many people go to the tourism council meeting where that's often reviewed, how many attend?
I do.
You're on the town council too.
I actually thought this would be the easiest one of the group. I think having a a regular report, particularly at this time of the year, to refresh our memories to the extent that they need refreshing about what some of the issues were, makes some sense.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I see this as brilliant, actually, because Black Island seems to not do a thing or take out the sledgehammer and swat the fly after it's become to a point where it's gotten out of control. So an annual review like this is a great idea so we can nip things in the bud.
Okay, just want to remind you guys that we have 15 minutes unless we want to go over, unless we vote to go over our allotted time of 11 o'clock, just so you know. Anybody else want to comment on that one?
Yeah, I will. I'm not sure the formality of this, but I know that we always used to do a summer review. I don't know when that, there were a bunch of things we used to do that kind of fell apart the past couple of years. And I think it may be worthwhile. There appears to be a lot of work in this, but if for nothing else, to establish a baseline, because I know if we look at the numbers and if we look at, the only things that really tell us much of anything are, the sewer flows. And very often the numbers that we get aren't the numbers that we think. Because every summer we think the world has come to, I mean, last summer aside, every summer that I can remember, maybe absent one or two, everybody thinks the world's coming to an end. And then the next summer, it's the same thing over again. And then you look and say, well, wait, what was the actual reality of it? And it may be worth it to simply to have that to establish every year and have some comparison. So we know what we're talking about. We're not just reacting on a visceral level, which is certainly what happened this year.
Anybody else? Public? Or
Just in agreement with Martha, I thought years ago we used to do the summer review and the harbors would get up and talk. Everybody, all the department folks would get up. And I thought that was very, very helpful. So I like the concept. My only question earlier was, is it a charter discussion? And I mean, fine either way, but ready to vote.
okay.
Yeah, because that's one of the things that I thought was helpful, that we all got the information. It was, I mean, some form of this. I'm not sure if this is the form, and I'm kind of worn down on these appropriately in the charter or not. I feel like we're doing the Nantucket town ordinances that are 75 pages long every year.
Okay, so we do agree. Well, so I guess we do have consensus on that. Okay.
Vote it.
I think, well, okay, you want to vote on each individual one, or do you want to go through and see if there's consensus?
My personal feeling is that K&L fit very much under the point that Martha has been making throughout. I think they're adequately addressed elsewhere.
So you suggest?
I don't think we should vote on them. I think we have a very clear sense. I think this charter gives a very clear and direct sense of the way we're heading in terms of public information. And I think to layer on two additional things, I think as a practical matter, because it's in the charter earlier, this is something that the town manager will attend to, and we don't have to, use a sledgehammer to drive this thumbtack.
So you want to remove K&L and keep J?
That's my opinion.
How does everybody else feel about that?
From a procedure point of view, is it worth to just vote on them and we'll end up voting them down and not moving forward?
Yeah, I thought we'd do that. Yeah, right. But but that's my opinion.
Andre, but K&L can be in very quick order.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna vote on J. Let's just vote on. Hold on. Let's vote on J first. I see what you're saying. Okay. So we're gonna move. All those in favor of moving J under section 506 powers and duties to legal review. All those in favor. Mark.
Aye.
Martha.
I'm sorry. What are we voting on?
We're just voting to move J forward.
Yeah, aye.
Okay. Keith?
Aye.
And Sven?
Aye.
And myself, all in favor? Aye. Motion passes, this vote passes unanimously. To take a vote to remove K and L from section 506, powers and duties, not move that forward. All those in favor of not moving K and L forward? Keith?
Yes.
Martha?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
And Sven?
Aye, but it is like a double negative.
I know. I vote yes on that. No.
I know, but you get it. I'm just trying to.
0 to 5. 0 to 5. Yep.
Yeah, well.
We're almost there, Andre. You're on a roll.
Keep it up, and I'm gonna be like, oh, Sven, can you take over at the worst possible time for you? Oh, Sven, excuse me. All right, so
maybe Chris Willie got arrested, and you can leave and go to Warden's Court. Who knows?
Oh, I wouldn't send Sven to do that. Okay, moving on. So
But
K
at
and L,
the
the
end-
motion passes on K and L to not move those forward. Okay, section 605, budget procedures. A is the one change in that. It shall be the goal of the town's budget process to distribute budget information and materials as broadly as possible and to engage the public throughout the development and the approval of the budget. Anybody have any problems with that?
I do not.
Do we want to just take a I know. Do we want to just take a vote on it? Besides not having it in the charter?
Well, besides, has anybody actually done this before? Like had a group of people who filled a room every year demanding that they have a vote, and the town went to the General Assembly and got the legislation to allow the vote to create the sewer district, and we sent out certified letters to everybody in the sewer district with the budget, the notice of the meeting, the ordinance, and it was the year before that was the last year we didn't have to call people to get a quorum for the sewer meeting. I'm just saying, don't get your hopes up.
Right.
I think isn't everything, wasn't this again already covered elsewhere with all the information made available? I mean, I just, this, what is not available, I guess is my question. I know a lot of this is,
It's not about what's available. It's about having that be a fundamental goal of the process.
okay, let me rephrase the question. What of this is not available under the open meeting law to begin with?
What if what is not available? I'm sorry, Martha.
What of the things you're talking about are not already available under the open meeting laws and under open meeting laws?
I don't know. This is about establishing the philosophical proposition that it is the goal of the town's budget process to distribute budget information and materials as broadly as possible and engage the public.
Exactly what you did for the sewer district, right?
Yeah.
And this is about engagement, and it's a statement of intention.
Yeah.
As though it has it.
Mark, any comments?
No.
Anybody else, any comments on this? Okay, so moving forward, moving section A under 605 budget procedures. All those in favor of moving A forward to our town solicitor? Ben?
Aye.
Keith?
Yes.
Mark?
Aye.
Martha?
In spite of the fact I think it's a feel-good product, feel-good.
But I feel so good.
But don't you don't you feel good?
Wait,
voting
if this is
along with
good.
all of us, don't you feel like part of the group?
Keep going. We're almost at 8 minutes.
Being unanimous.
Move ahead.
Moving on. All right. So section A, section 605, part A, we'll move forward to the solicitor. Okay. Next change on that is the town council should schedule at least 1 is crossed off and 2 is added. Public hearings on the budget recommendations it receives from the town manager. Okay. Let me just stop there. Don't we have more than 2 already?
Yeah.
It sure feels like.
But it only requires 1. We have multiples, but the charter only requires 1. Whatever.
Right.
Did the last one take out the second one?
I'm sorry, what?
No, well, I guess it must have, Martha. That's a good question because the existing charter has 1.
It does say at least one.
But there used to be this strange meeting that didn't mean anything that you had to have. By the time I got to this point, I couldn't.
That's so true.
Want me to say something?
I'm very
Please
much
say
in favor of
something.
keeping it at 1 because we have many more, and where'd the number 2 come from versus 3? So let's I would say keep it at 1 personally, but more is being done, a lot more.
Kim Gaffett, did you have a comment? An unsolicited comment?
Just maybe a clarification. You have lots of budget meetings, individual discussions. You have one hearing for the public where the public is the public's hearing to discuss it. And then you usually follow it with the meaningless one, Martha, where the budget has to be adopted by the town council to be sent to the town financial meeting. And I think the discussion at the committee was that the budget is getting more and more complicated, and there should be 2 times where the public hearing, where the public has the ability to weigh in, not just as a work session type meeting, but as a public hearing.
I get that. Thank you, Kim. Now I understand, and thank you for clarifying that. So does this envision at the second public hearing being able to go back to items that were discussed and possibly discussed at the first public hearing?
I think it does. I think it would be as if you had continued the public hearing to a second night.
All right. Okay.
But that's my thought. I'm only one person.
I know. Okay, so then the other change to this section, council shall be publicized. In addition, announcements of all budget hearings and budget work sessions shall be made prominently on the town's website and using all reasonably available digital platforms. Is that repeating ourselves again? Anybody else have a comment on that? Counselor, comments? Anybody still there?
What does it do to the schedule on the budget? I mean, was this backed out? How the time frame on 2 meetings and all that? I mean, I granted we are overwhelmed with the number of people who come to these, and we probably have to have 2 meetings, but
Yes, I believe it was backed out.
All right, so section E, how do we section E, how do we feel? Do you want to vote?
All right, let's vote.
All those in favor of these changes? In addition to reasonably available digital platforms. All those in favor of these changes? Mark?
Aye.
Martha?
I understand the point.
I know.
I just think it's, well, I don't agree with it.
You can say no.
I know. I feel like that's all I've done tonight.
No, you haven't. You haven't. You've raised good points.
Martha, that's no reason to go against your convictions.
That's right.
I'm sorry, leave me on the train of thought. Keith, in favor?
I'm a yes.
Sven?
No.
No. I will say no too. I just don't kind of understand why, but okay.
And it's like, the capital budget is this huge thing that's enormously important, and I feel like that doesn't really. The planning board does that, and what kind of play does that ever get?
Okay. Well, we have a vote of 3-2 to move it forward. Okay. Okay, so section E, we'll move forward to the town solicitor for review. Section, do we need to actually take an official vote to extend our meeting past 11 o'clock?
Oh, God.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Okay, it's 11:02. We literally, I think, all right, motion to, extend our, current meeting.
Yeah,
Make a-
so it's 11:30, isn't it?
I believe it was 11.
If I got old, I must have old rules of procedure.
Can someone clarify the time for me? Molly or Kathy?
I thought it was 11. I have to open up the rules of procedure.
So did I, but my old hard copy says 11, but that may be old.
Might be faster just to vote on F.
I know, exactly, and then adjourn. I just want to know what intangible means
Let's
while
go.
she's looking that
I'm
up.
a yes. I'm a yes on that.
Andre?
Go ahead, Kathy.
And tangible property is property that you can touch, hold, and feel. Intangible property are assets, for example, bank accounts, stocks, bonds, patents, copyrights, security investments, partnership interests, anything that it kind of appears on a computer screen, but you can't physically hold and touch it.
Okay, so how is this, just explain, just as an explanation, how does this apply to section F? Like intangible property of the town. Can I have an example on that?
Well, so for example, if the town owned a patent, that's an intangible item of property. That would be something that would have to be disposed of in accordance with the new section. However, bank accounts are also considered intangible property, and I don't think we want to go back there.
Well, let me read this. Hold on, Martha. Disposable of tangible and intangible personal property of the town. Okay, so let me just stop there. And I guess Kim or Keith, disposal of tangible and intangible personal property of the town. What would that be?
All of the things that Councilor Marola just mentioned.
Personal property.
Yeah. Yes.
Andre, property is divided into personal and real. So real property would be real estate. Within the item of personal property, you have two categories, tangible and intangible. So tangible is something you can hold. If the town owns furniture, if the town owns stock, that's intangible. Maybe that would be disposed of in accordance with the charter.
So they're just adding intangible. I understand that.
But I've got a question.
Go ahead.
Somebody said easements.
Yeah.
That's real property.
That's real.
An easement is real property.
Yes.
Correct. That's real property. It's not included in this part of the charter.
Okay, because that was the only justification I was able to get for. And that doesn't count. Okay.
So moving this forward to legal review before we get fined for being over at 11 and not making a motion instead. We're not going to get fined. I'm kidding.
Is Amy Land still on the phone, on the line?
Who's that?
Make any sense?
Amy?
I just don't understand. Kim, anybody? Kim?
Hard to remember exactly, but I actually think we were, at least one point we're talking about, I think we thought easements, which are not the actual land, but this did, I think, come from, it may have come from Amy Land, so I would ask her first.
Move it. So should we? She's not here. So should we just move? Should we move it forward?
Keith, what do you remember?
Lisa Robb's here too.
I remember that it came from someone with technical knowledge that was beyond my intellectual capacity to fully embrace.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Wouldn't this include ownership of like the power company? As a stockholder, as a shareholder, Kathy?
Yes.
So as shareholders of the power company, this would now include it. Without the intangible, it wouldn't include it. Is that correct, Kathy?
Correct. Yes.
That's what it is. Or that maybe is a comment.
Moving forward with F, disposal of tangible and intangible, the changes and intangible. All those in favor? Sven? Okay. Keith?
Yes.
Mark?
Aye.
Martha?
Aye.
Are you sure, Martha?
Yeah, it wasn't the way on the other one, but yeah.
Oh, goodness.
I'm in favor.
With-
Motion passes unanimous. Does anybody else have any comments? I believe we're at the end of this transparency resolution.
Andre, thanks so much to the commission. They did a boatload of work.
I was gonna say that I know it's late, but I got to tell you, this was such an incredibly engaged and hardworking group. It was a joy to work with them, and just it was a delight. And I just appreciate everybody spending this much time on it. Thank you.
Indeed.
Thank you, Keith.
Who's here from that? Right on. So appreciate that. David, everybody. I see everybody on the side there. Thanks for attending tonight and sticking around for a good long time with us, but it was an important topic, and I'm glad we got through it. So the process on this, it'll go through all of these. We have to make a motion on what the motions to send, right?
Didn't we do that?
Okay.
We went back and did the ones we hadn't done, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but we also
Right,
need.
they're all voted on.
Yeah, but we didn't. Did we do motions to not go forward? Okay, yeah, we did, right?
Yeah, we.
Yes.
So our business here is complete this evening?
Yes.
I believe so,
Yes,
yes.
it is.
Well, I do want to say at our last meeting before Christmas last time, we all sat around town hall and enjoyed some of Violet's eggnog, and I'm terribly sorry that we can't do that this year, but the thought is there. And I want to wish you all the best of the holiday season. And I hope to see you over that holiday season.
Okay. It wasn't Violet's eggnog.
It was Martha Washington's,
Martha.
but who turned us on to it?
Oh, eggnog. We didn't keep it that long. That stuff holds, but not that long.
Go ahead, Keith. Sven.
No, there's a hand up, I think.
There is. Let's see. Whoever's got their hand up. Sean, go ahead.
Sure. Thank you. I'd like to speak to the members of the Charter Review Commission, especially the many young members. I know that they're discouraged, and after months and long hours and hard work, they felt that a lot of these items should have been brought to vote. But don't be discouraged. Continue to hold the faith in the process and continue to volunteer and contribute. When they stop, the democracy stops. And so thank you to all of you.
Thanks, Sean. Anybody else? I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you all. Have a great holiday.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to everybody. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Are we done? Yay.
Miss Addie? Miss Addie? Would you like to go out one more time, Addie? Addie, outside? Addie? Addie? Outside one time, Addie? Want to go outside one time? Let's go outside. Come on.